Hey, beautiful people. Welcome to the monthly Astro forecast for May of 2026. Can you guys believe we are already May? It feels like yesterday that I was doing the monthly forecast for April. And I've got some good news for you guys because the month of May and this forecast is going to be way easier and a lot more calm than the month of April. So I'm really glad to be sharing this positive news for you guys. And also, it's a pretty interesting and special kind of month because we've got three lunations in the month of May. Of course, the first one we just had on the 1st of May, that was the full moon in the sign of Scorpio. So, of course, Scorpio is a bit more intense. It is the most intense sign of all 12 of the zodiac signs. So, we're still in that full moon portal, so let me guys know how you are doing with the more intense energy of Scorpio. Of course, Scorpio, it's all about transformation, death and rebirth, and sometimes there's a little bit more of crisis energy up in the sky, and then that crisis ultimately leads towards a big breakthrough or some kind of big rebirth moment. So yes, intensity is felt, the emotions are running high. That is very normal during a full moon and especially in the sign of Scorpio. Then we've also got a new moon coming up in the sign of Taurus. That will be on May 16th. So Scorpio and Taurus are way more financial. It's also about our stability and something getting transformed within all of that. And then at the end of the month, we're also seeing a full moon in the sign of Sagittarius, and that will be on the last day on the 31st of May. So, you guys, oh, so many people here in the comments. Oh, hey, Katie. Thank you, girl. I'm so happy you're here. Glad to see you. And good morning, Laura. Let me guys know what you're up to on this beautiful Sunday. And of course, hey, Stain. And Kel DB, I finally get to join you live. Thanks for your time and wisdom. I'm so glad you guys are tuning in live. So, hi there to you, love, Missy Penny. And of course, you guys, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe here at the Beyond Mystic platform on YouTube. And of course, also here on Rumble. There are so many cool shows, so make sure you do not miss a single beat. And if you want to book in a personal astrology session and you want some more guidance on the latter part of 2026, and of course, you can book in a personal reading at the Beyond Mystic consultation page, and you can use Beyond Mystic to get 10% off. All right, you guys, let me know where you are watching this from. Let me know how you are doing with the energies. The month of May is definitely going to be way more easy than April because April, wow, there was so much fiery, feisty energy going on. And now already we are in the Taurus season. So happy birthday to all of the sweet, loving, calm, stable, sometimes a little bit stubborn Tauruses out there. Let me know what you're gonna do for your birthday. And also, hey, Hannah and Macmillan is here as well. Hey, Selama Wittina. Oh, this is a cool name. May I have a reading for the coming week, please? Yeah, well, Selima, you are going to get a reading for the upcoming month. So, yes, let's enjoy all of that and the positive news that I've got to share. And I'm so glad that you're all watching from the other side of the pond and from Ethiopia, Africa. That is so, so cool. I am from Belgium. So, yeah, Stain, keeping an eye on you from Belgium. The energies are good, the kind of joyful expectation. I'm very glad to read that, Stain. That is definitely going to be the case. April was kind of a firecracker, honestly, and I think May is going to be more of the integration period after the big intensive energies that we got through in April. And of course, we still got a Mars square Jupiter building that is going to be a little bit more intense still. But I would say the peak period of the month of May will be from the 21st until the 28th, the 30th. Because we are going to see the sun ingressing into Gemini and Gemini season will kick off. But of course, Uranus is now newly found in Gemini as well. So the Sun will conjunct Uranus, Mercury will conjunct Uranus. Yeah, there is like a lot of genius energy in the skies that are going to be triggered. But at the same time, we're also going to see a Pluto square Mars. That is a little bit more difficult, but I'm going to explain it all to you, and let's just dive into the month ahead. And hi, KLDB, you are an April Taurus, so you already had your solar return. Happy birthday to you, and good morning, Lindazi from New Jersey. All right, you guys, let's start, of course, with the full moon in Scorpio. I'm gonna be a little bit more swift on that because of course we already saw the moon in Scorpio a couple of days ago on the 1st of May, and I've also did an activation together with Elena in the Beyond Harmony show, so you can definitely check that out if you would like to have some more information or do a very beautiful meditation together with Elena on how to more fully integrate the full moon in Scorpio vibes. Of course, Scorpio, very transformative. It is a full moon, so always about culmination, revelation, a very big turning point, and that happens when in the deeper realms of life, you guys. It's about secrets and intimacy and psychology, like very deep, hidden, repressed parts of yourself that you would rather keep hidden from others and sometimes also from yourself. But it's also about very deep emotional bonds. It tends to bring a lot of hidden truths to the surface, and it is really a time to be a little bit more honest with yourself, like on the deepest levels, and also a very beautiful time to purge any toxic pattern or relationship, or maybe a toxic job, maybe something not fully aligns with you anymore. And now it is really the best time of the year to release all of that. Now, what comes with this is that few days later, actually on the 6th of May, so within 3 days, as I am doing this live with you guys, Pluto is also preparing to go retrograde. So it's already coming to a stand still in the sky. So all of the Scorpio and Plutonic vibes are getting amplified massively. So yeah, this is really transformation through crisis here, guys. And it's highlighting and putting such a big spotlight on power dynamics, and it wants to lead you towards some deeper emotional excavation. So yeah, there is some kind of plutonium pressure in the sky right now, and truth, it becomes unavoidable, you guys. And during these intense full moons, we are like more willing to face things head on. So maybe you have been pondering about something and really look back at 6 months ago when we had the new moon in Scorpio. Maybe some reoccurring theme is going to be re-triggered here, and maybe you were thinking or doing certain things during the new moon, and now it's going to come up again, and maybe you're going to realize like, okay, I cannot go on like this anymore. So, of course, there is also a very beautiful trine towards Jupiter here in the sky in Cancer, and that luckily softens the tone a little bit because we can also see a square from this moon. So here you have the full moon in Scorpio, but it actually squares its ruler Pluto, which is about to station retrograde. And of course, when we see T square to Pluto from the moon and the sun, that is a bit more intense, you guys. And luckily, we have a bit more of a softening aspect here with Jupiter in Cancer. So take time to unwind at home, to find happiness within yourself, within your protective shell. Go deep within with the Scorpio moon. Whatever gets triggered or brought up, just let it arrive. Arrive within your emotions and accept them, and do not fight them during this energy. Pluto and Aquarius can also be about our friendships and maybe certain toxic or unhealthy dynamics within our friendships, but also relationships, and maybe even finances can be brought up, and we can really ponder upon them at home within our safe space of Cancer. and really now make a decision to not fully go into that anymore. Of course, for you guys in the States, you have just gone through tax season. So a lot of you guys are just simply tapping into the more financial side of this full moon and like reassessing your finances after tax season just passed. So that is definitely a possibility here. If we then look at the other transits, and of course, maybe before I go too fast, Scorpio, it deals with taxes, shared finances, investments, research, debt, and all of that is getting transformed. And then the opposite sign of Taurus, that brings a very big focus on wealth, the land, our food, what makes us feel safe, secure, and material security all belongs to Taurus. So that is now a very deep turning point and the cycle of transformation. So look at what's coming up. And this is like a very big purging mechanism. It can be emotional, it can be energetically. Scorpio really deals with emotional, sexual, psychological intertwinements with other people. And maybe we need to look at the give and take access, and if that is imbalance within our lives right now. Of course, this full moon, it's also at 11 degrees. That is an Aquarius degree, so something very sudden, fast, unexpected might come up in order for you to push you and purge you from certain toxic dynamics and really be able to tap into the deeper layer of all of that. So do not fear a full moon in Scorpio. Scorpio also deals with fears. Sometimes that gets triggered in order for us to ascend them and to empower ourselves more fully. So I hope that is going to be the case for you in the next couple of weeks. So if we then look at an overview for May of 2026, and I see so many guys in the comments. Hi everyone, and yeah, it's so cool. So many of you are here today. So yeah, it's Sunday. Let's all just relax and unwind from the heavy Scorpio vibes that we just got through. And oh, hey, we have another one from the Netherlands, my neighboring country. So good morning to each and every one of you. We have Arno here in the chat as well. Hey, Arno. And Arno says, I do not hate stuff, but I hate Scorpio moons from now on. Yeah, Arno, Scorpio, it is more intense. I saw a lot of people around me that were a little bit more on the tip of their toes, that were walking on eggshells. And I also saw, like, within my neighborhood, because the full moon in Scorpio, it falls in my third house. And my third house rules being on the road, my neighbors, my siblings, my local environment, also communication. And yeah, every time when there's a new or a full moon in Scorpio, my neighbors go absolutely bananas. It's actually becoming a family joke here in the household. And yeah, that definitely happened again. But once you become aware of where the full or the new moon in Scorpio falls for you, you can already prepare a little bit and just let the energy and the universe do its job. There's definitely a reason for that. But I know with Scorpio moons that people's shadow side gets a little bit more easily triggered. Yeah, it just like says a lot about them. And also, if you feel like certain triggers are bubbling up to the surface and you're not able to repress them, find a healthy outlet for them, because we cannot start to project while we are in the Scorpio energy. It is really a very big lesson and a spotlight of the full moon to bring us into deeper contact and awareness about ourselves and where we need to change and where we actually need to be able to stand in our truth and in our power and let other people just go a little bit crazy sometimes with the Scorpio moon. It's normal that not everyone is being able to implement the deeper layers of Scorpio during this intense culmination of energy. So I hope that makes some sense for you guys. So also, of course, we also already saw Venus and Gemini, sextile Saturn and Aries. That was actually a binding glue during the full moon in Scorpio as well. There is a very big shift happening right now within relationships, and the Venus sextile Saturn also put the spotlight on that to see or to look at the longevity of certain relationships. And if it survives the full moon in Scorpio, it gets like bigger or deeper glue, uh, thanks to Venus sextile Saturn here. So today, Mercury enters into the sign of Taurus, and of course, Mercury, it is about our communication, and the the ingress into Taurus, there is like a shift within like the collective mental landscape. That is how you can look at it. And it was in Aries for such a long time. It was very, very blunt, very outspoken, very unfiltered, very unbothered. So yeah, it's moving now from a very fast-paced, assertive kind of energy of Aries into a more grounded nature of Taurus. So it is more patient, which it definitely wasn't in Aries, and it's more methodical and more deliberate and more about like, yeah, of course, stories, it's connected to stability and our values and security. And yeah, it makes the communication and also our thinking process more focused on the practical and sustainable and tangible things in our lives. So now, after everything that we've blurted out while Mercury was in Aries, now it's more about like, okay, but what did I just say? Now it's more about careful consideration and having more persistence within how we process information. It's slower and a bit more reliable to like problem solving as well. So of course, we know that it can also manifest a little bit as resistance to new perspectives, but that is only when it gets like threatened, or when the sense of security is getting threatened. So this is definitely about more grounded and realistic kind of thinking, and it's about stability and growth that happens over time. So the next one is kind of pretty big deal. Here tomorrow, the energy already is very palpable in the sky right now, but Mars in Aries is going to square Jupiter in Cancer exact tomorrow. So Mars is still in Aries. It's still pretty feisty, you guys. And when that makes an expansive square here to Jupiter, the amplifier, then Mars is getting a massive boost, and Mars is within its home sign. So it's very strong. It has the warrior archetype written all over its face, and Mars is the warrior planet. It is about like standing in your truth and fighting for what you like believe in now with the square to Jupiter. Jupiter rules over our beliefs. So when these two interact, yeah, Jupiter is going to make Mars's impulsive, animalistic desires bigger. And it's bigger, it's louder, and way more significant right now. So Jupiter is linked to our belief systems, higher meaning, higher knowledge, what's ethical. So Mars, when it's under Jupiter's influence, then it can act with a lot of conviction, and it can be so convinced that it has the truth that it just like bulldozes over other people's beliefs. So that is something that we need to be a little bit more careful about. We need to, we feel more guided by principles or like a sense of purpose here with Jupiter. And it's also kind of bringing out the warrior, spiritual warrior kind of archetype, or the crusader. We are all more inclined to take like serious, bold action in the name of faith and truth, or something larger than within ourselves. However, it is a square. It is an energy that is a little bit more frictionate, and that can easily turn into escalation. This adds so much heat and intensity, and it can really push a lot of our reactions towards like over-promising, overreaching, excess. All of that really belongs to that. And also, we're going to see on the collective world stage a high kind of activism, more protests, more people who are going to be sharing their truth, and there is a little bit less easy emotional regulation. That is like a little bit more difficult right now. So definitely we can also see that going on in the rising fuel costs and the increasing restrictions that we are seeing in this ongoing energy crisis, and all the flights that are getting canceled here within Europe as well. So this can bring some aggression for sure. And I know, last year, that was late August, early September, we also saw Mars, but then it was in Libra, also squaring off with Jupiter. And that was when there was a lot of violence, a lot of stabbings. It was also the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So, and then Mars was really in fall or in detriment in Libra. Now it's in its home sign of Aries. It's even stronger, more violent, more conflictive, and it's more feisty. Now, just something to be aware of, that there can be a little bit more aggression in the air, and be careful about overextension. Or like Jupiter can also be about confidence, so being overconfident, a little bit reckless, be careful of taking risks and also hurting yourself. But a lot of people are going to pursue something with great intensity, especially with this coinciding with the full moon in Scorpio, of course. So of course can also be used to defend your family, defending the neighborhood, just like feeling like you need to assert yourself to maybe defend something within your home bounds, because Jupiter is in Cancer. But definitely try not to overcompensate or push too hard. We do not need to be too aggressive to feel secure or validated. It is an invitation here to look how you handle anger and emotional triggers, especially during the full moon in Scorpio. But then again, we are going to see like high geopolitical tension and like impulsive decision making, like on a larger scale here. On May the 5th, then Mercury in Taurus is squaring Pluto in Aquarius. So Mercury square Pluto, that is more, that happens more often than a Mars square Jupiter, of course. Mercury is way more faster moving. But when it squares Pluto, of course, there is a highly intense and psychologically kind of penetrating, very deep interaction between Mercury, our thoughts, communication, perception, and the planet of Pluto, which is power, control, transformation, subconscious. So normally Mercury in Taurus is very grounded, very focused on our tangible reality, but square to Pluto adds a bit of disruptive tendency towards like the stability that it's normally dealing with Mercury in Taurus. And Mercury is about our thought process. When it squares Pluto, there can be a little bit obsessive thinking, there can be deep suspicion, sometimes a bit paranoia, there can be compulsion to really try to uncover the hidden truths. And yeah, the fact that Pluto is in Aquarius, that adds a very big collective dimension to all of it, because it is directly linked to technology, networks, societal systems, ideological power structures, all of that. And I've just read here, I think it was yesterday that I read the news article about how they want to implement here in the EU pretty soon. I think it is July, if I remember correctly. They want to install a camera inside of your car that actually looks at you, that actually measures your eye movement, if you're focused. And it's of course for our safety. Thank God for that. They're going to install a camera inside of the new cars that you're going to be buying within like a couple of months from now, that is going to target and look at your face. And if you're looking at the road, if you're swiping on your phone, and of course, I never use my phone while I'm driving in the car, because I think that's very irresponsible. But I see a lot of people doing that, and I kind of get annoyed by that, because if you hit a little child or another car while you're just like swiping on Facebook or Instagram, that is just like, I do not even understand that. But installing cameras that will be looking or measuring or recording our eyesight and what we're simply doing, I think that's all very scary, honestly. So if you're a mechanic and you're afraid to lose your job because of all the electric vehicles, do not scare any longer. We are going to need you so very much, because you're going to have to be able to fix old cars and still keep them running as long as that's possible. And I think that will be still for quite some time. We need people who are very, very skilled to be able to push against what they're trying to install on all of us. So yeah, just also wanted to mention that a lot of people, yeah, exactly. Annelieu, not in my car. No, not at all. I rather go by bike if it comes to that. So yeah, duct tape over the camera. Okay, yeah, but like, what if the camera is going to be linked to when you start the car, and when it's not being able to measure anything, you're probably not going to be able to start your car. I think it's going to really come to that level. So yeah, it's all kind of scary and a little bit fast. It's going very, very fast here right now. So we really need to push back against that and take very good care of our manual cars. Like I still drive stick. I have no automatic car. I will never be buying an electrical car, as I've seen so many people having so many issues with that. And biking, it is good for your muscles and your legs, but of course, and also with the energy crisis, I think we're gonna go now towards a point where it's gonna become pretty soon too expensive to put fuel in your car. Then you're gonna be able to like drive to work and have like an income off of that. Prices are going to be soaring in the next 2 years, especially. So we are going to have to think about how we can solve certain issues. And of course, in my April forecast, I also predicted certain mandates that were announced on the 20th of April, how we need to share cars, or like in the UK, how they are going to switch licenses, certain days like even numbers, the next day uneven numbers. And they're already like saying that we need to work from home more often. Here in Europe, there have been many canceled flights. There is a lot of disruption within air travel as well. I can see that getting more intense by the end of the month with the new moon in Sagittarius, full moon in Sagittarius, excuse me. And also by the end of June, beginning of July, Jupiter will jump into Leo, but it will make an opposition to Pluto and Aquarius. We are going to see intense stuff going on with airplanes, you guys, because in 2020, Pluto and Jupiter were conjunct. So it's now the first time that we're seeing an opposition between those two planets. So whatever they tried to install in 2020, when there was like almost no flights, like all the flights were pretty much grounded, we are going to see some repetitive theme in that. So unfortunately, July, June, like there's a build-up towards that, and we're definitely going to see a lot of issues with planes for the entire year of 2026. It is very much baked into this year, unfortunately. Also, Chris Cole says, Astrid, shouldn't we focus on a better outcome than the one they're peddling? Yes, I'm a very big advocate for that, but I think it's also we need to be focused on reality as well. So yeah, we can definitely envision and focus on a better outcome, but we also need to stay realistic and prepare ourselves for the things that are coming, whether we like them or not. Neptune is out of Pisces. It's not going to help anymore to stay in denial, even though I am a very big advocate on meditating for a better outcome and a better world for sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Linda, that is true, but like you cannot like refine it, or and like with all the attacks that happened on all the oil refineries, Linda, there are going to be a lot of problems in the US as well. So I think you export the oil to then be, how do you say it in English? Sometimes the language barrier is a little bit annoying for me, and I'm sorry, you guys, if I sometimes have to think about my words. But you're going to need to open up new facilities to be able to do something with the oil so that it then can end up in your car. Simply saying it like that. And yeah, Russia, of course, also is still delivering a lot of oil here within the harbor of Zeebrugge. So yeah, there are definitely possibilities. And this whole energy crisis, it is all made by design. It is not true. It is like, it's only 2% of the oil that goes through the Strait of Hormuz for people in the US. So yeah, there's definitely more about that going on. Yes, Valerie says, definitely a lot of feistiness all around, lady. That's why I own an old banger, older cars. Perfect. That is beautiful. Yes, I'm very happy with my old car as well. So let's all take good care And that is also like Uranus leaving a sign of Taurus right now. It now jumped into Gemini, but now we're going to have to deal with the aftermath of Uranus really creating so much havoc and disruption on the 29th critical degree of Taurus, where it just sat, where it just jumped over off. So a lot of astrologers, I see them saying like, oh, it's all fixed now, Uranus is out of Taurus, no more the disruption anymore. No, now we're going to need to invent Uranus with our brain some new solutions to deal with the havoc that Uranus created in the sign of Taurus. So no, we're definitely not out of the disruption within all of the Taurian themes: food, land, money, financial system, all of that belongs to Taurus. So yeah, but our politician is a bunch of the dark side. Yeah, it's yeah, it is all. That is also actually what's being exposed right now with the full moon in Scorpio squaring Pluto and Aquarius. It is about politicians and the hidden agendas being illuminated right now, and the moon resembles the feelings of the people. The moon is about the population, and it's now making a square towards politicians and the hidden agenda that's getting exposed in a sign of Aquarius: collective groups of people, technology, the tech giants, and now the population with the moon in Scorpio. It just kind of reacts way more intensely and even vengeful and frustrated towards whatever they're trying to install. So having that feeling right now is kind of normal within the astrological weather right now. So yeah, especially do not consent to all that car rubbish laws. Yes, definitely. So yeah, we can fight back, but we also still need to be able to operate within this crazy madness world that we're heading into. So yeah, of course, we can all be very happy and content within the microcosmos of our own small bubble and our own world, but we still need to like leave that bubble and be able to operate within all the big madness and the macrocosmos or the macro world. So yeah, it's really important that we find some kind of balance within that, and that we do fight back, but we also need to be careful not to burn ourselves out, because I think, in my opinion, we will not be able to fight against everything that they're trying to implement. It's actually also looking at how can we connect within like our community on a community level, and how can we help each other out without giving our power away to the bigger system. I know that is not easy, and I say it in like an easy kind of way, but I know very well that that is not the case. Pluto is in Aquarius. The real power, Pluto, lies within our community and our friendships and the people we surround ourselves with. And Pluto in Aquarius is now teaching us very strongly and forceful, Pluto, that we become like the average of the 5 people like closest around us. So make sure that those are the right people that you can really lean upon. Uranus in Gemini. Gemini is our neighborhood. Uranus is disruption. It's going to be very important to be able to count on your neighbors or on people who live close by towards you. So make those connections. Go out. Neptune is out of Pisces. No more hiding beneath a blanket. Saturn, Neptune, all in Aries. It's now time to go out and take some action on the things that are going to lead us towards a better world, towards creating a new community, towards caring for one another. Pluto has been in Capricorn for such a long time. The era of having the nicest car, the biggest amount of dollars on the bank account, the pool in the yard, all like the status symbols, that is now all over. It's like no more of the old world right now. It is really now about making connections and sharing food and sharing like stuff with people close around you, and really healing those family bonds as well with Jupiter in Cancer. It's going to be very, very necessary. Chris Cole says, if they are just playing charades in the public eye, isn't that a false perception that they're projecting this? Leave the astrology wide open depending on our move. Yeah, I follow your opinion, and like, do not take my words as truth. Do your own research, look what's working best for you, And of course, not everything is set. The future, it is wide open. It is not defined just yet, but we do know how fond some of the more darker side of some or certain politicians are about Agenda 2030, and that is definitely a bit tricky. Yeah, exactly, Valerie. It's very tricky for sure. It is. And Laura, there have, yes, been learning some truths in the relationships around me. Yeah, it's kind of unavoidable when we have a full moon in Scorpio. So, um, yes, hey, Memchecks, stay strong, focused, not blinded, and with clear eyes. Yes, exactly. And Pluto is going retrograde. There is definitely an emphasis on getting back our own power. So, with that being said, I'm just like arriving at the Pluto stationing retrograde at 5 degrees of Aquarius. So that this is a very like deep internal and structural reassessment. And it's about technology, innovation, social structures, collective ideologies. All of that is being massively heightened. So we need to pause and reflect and also reassess the direction of all the transformations that have been taking place for the last couple of months. Look at your relationship with power. Look at where you're clinging to control. Full moon in Scorpio really exposes that right now. Look at your own role within the collective and what are you bringing to the table to help people free themselves. Freedom is about Aquarius. Look at the groups that you're connecting with, the communities, and you are definitely beginning to question where you've been giving your power away, or where you're maybe aligning with systems that actually no longer reflect your authenticity. Aquarius, it is a very big time with the Pluto retrograde to look at internal restructuring. And it might not be extremely visible externally yet, but it's very profound in reshaping your inner landscape. So it's really about going within, looking at your own depths, look at like it's a shadow integration for the entire collective, like the level of personal psyche that operates within the collective and how we are actually collectively manifesting the future as well. So by releasing, by trusting, by surrendering, by reclaiming your power, and by not giving that away to people who do not deserve it anymore, is definitely like you're doing the collective a favor if you're being able to do that right now. So on the 13th, we are going to see a positive aspect between Mercury and Taurus, sextile Jupiter in Cancer. This is harmonious. Mercury thought, Jupiter expansion, growth, wisdom. This is like about stability, emotional intelligence, practical growth, and it is like an encouragement for grounded optimism. So ideas are not only going to be expansive with Jupiter, but also more realistic and sustainable with it being in a sign of Taurus. So yeah, build, plan, do something in a measured and expansive kind of way. And that is definitely going to be giving you also probably a positive conversation. So really look for that. Then on the 14th, we are seeing Mercury Cazimi in Taurus. So a Mercury Cazimi, that is when the Sun and Mercury are aligning at the same degree, 23 degrees. Very cool, very important here as well. 23 degrees is also an Aquarius degree. So a Mercury Cazimi, that is also sorry, I'm just quickly looking something up if I'm not saying any mistakes. So yeah, I was saying it correctly. All right. So Mercury Cazimi, the Sun and the Mercury, the planet and the messenger, they come together, and it's a very beautiful time. Like something gets illuminated, and it's so packed here, you guys, because these moments are always so significant. Mercury is in the heart of the Sun. It's gaining clarity, it's gaining strength, insights can click into place, the mind becomes sharper, solutions are being offered to these ongoing problems within the sign of Taurus. So Uranus has been in Taurus for the last 7.5 years, and now there can be some kind of new solution being offered or some new insight being offered that is going to help us deal with some of the missing stability that we saw for the last couple of years. So it is clarity, it is purification, heightened mental insight as well, and This is beautiful because Mercury can also be like the trickster sometimes, and sometimes there can be a little bit distortions, but they're like temporarily burned away by the sun, and that then allows more like pure perception and better understanding. So this is actually a very welcoming, yeah, moment here, and really also going to be important for our economic outlook on the whole situation that we're dealing with right now. So look at like what's happening on the world stage. There can be very important announcements also from leaders. The sun rules over leadership that are going to be in regards to our financial system as well. So important date here, you guys, the 14th. So look at what is happening during that time. Then on the 16th, we're going to see a new moon in Taurus at 25 degrees, and it will be conjunct Mercury. And of course, 25 degrees, it's an Aries degree. So that is definitely a little bit more feistiness that is being added towards an otherwise very stable kind of moon. Also worth to mention, you guys, it's at an Aries degree that is kind of a bit more blunt and abrasive and conflictive in nature. But what makes this even more prominent, you guys, is that the fixed star Algol is located here as well at 26 degrees of Taurus. So this new moon is exactly conjunct Algol, which is the demon star, but Algol can also be about wealth. So this really marks a new moon in Taurus, a fresh beginning in the realm of stability and resources and our material security. And it is very closely conjunct Mercury. It sits so tightly conjunct the sun and the moon. And it's also making a conjunction to Uranus. And some people would say like it's 6 degrees off, Uranus is in another sign, so it's an outer sign conjunction. Still, very, very important, you guys. With Mercury so closely towards Uranus as well, like this all works together, you guys. So, of course, Mercury, it isn't very strong in Taurus because Mercury wants speed and flexibility, and Taurus is a little bit more slow and steady, but still there's like an emphasis on practical thinking, on or like around finances, long-term planning, how we manage our resources, and it could prove like very valuable, this new moon around this whole energy crisis that is continuing to build. So this is really planting a new seed on how we can better preserve our finances and make something like talk about something, put something on paper, protecting something, because otherwise there can be like upheaval here or disruption still with Uranus. So look at how you can, yeah, how you can protect and ground and definitely connect it towards money, food, land, comfort, physical security as well. And with Mercury so prominent, there's definitely like a very mental and communicative like tone. And it's less about like simply enjoying the finer things in life, which normally is represented by Taurus. It's more about like being strategic for the future and how to manage and like allocate your resources in the face of potential scarcity. And I know that might sound a little bit scary, but this energy really is here to help us and guide us through that. We're definitely going to see some new regulations or some kind of new limitations because it makes a semi-square to Saturn here, which is a 45 degree angle. It is a minor aspect, but still very prominent here in the chart, you guys. So there can be new regulations around our finances, food supply. That is going to be very important. And there are going to be a lot of conversations, Mercury, about like the issues arising within the rising food prices, concerns about scarcity. All of that is going to become way more visible in the public conversation here. And then the fact that it aligns with the fixed star Algol. Algol is also associated with like injustice, suffering, and also having to deal with the consequences of being wronged. So there is like high emotional and physical intensity around those themes here. So there is a kind of complex tone or like undertone towards a normally very beautiful new moon in Taurus. Taurus is normally about comfort and indulgence, but this is going to be about facing reality, about these ongoing issues and crises that are being thrown in our face, that are being made by design. And this is really about making smart decisions and maybe investing in property or land, Taurus, looking at online certain currencies that can help you, and also in, yeah, maybe looking at some earth materials if you can buy some of that, crystals, looking also at things that do not lose their value within like the uncertainty, and all of that. So yeah, this is majorly highlighted here. Yeah, Chris says, I pulled one card from my 5D deck, the Lovers. It should be relevant in the astrology. Well, actually, Chris, so glad that you're sharing this, because on the 18th, Venus will jump into Cancer and Mars will then jump into Taurus, and they will make a beautiful sextile in the sky. And that is going to be building already from now on for the next couple of days until the 18th. And then the sextile is also going to last for a couple of days. So the entire month of May, and I would definitely say within the middle of the month, the lovers, the cosmic lovers, the divine feminine Venus and the divine feminine, divine masculine Mars are going to be in a harmonious aspect, which can be very, very positive and beneficial for our relationships this month. So thank you for adding that, Chris, because I didn't include the Mars-Venus sextile in the presentation, because during these presentations, I try to focus on the bit more difficult aspects, also because I'm a Virgo rising and I'm looking at the flaws and the more difficult things to be able to help you guys, because it doesn't really help when I'm highlighting all the positivity without actually checking on what's really going on. But the Mars-Venus sextile is also going to be very, very helpful in the upcoming month for reconnecting within our relationships and really deepening the bond as well. So yes, I am also really looking out for that Mars-Venus sextile. It is always a very beautiful thing. Yes, Peace Wolf says peace. Yeah, peace and love. And like the divine masculine and feminine, the divine union, it is under attack for so many years. And every time we see a sextile or a positive aspect between the two, there's like a high collective awareness about how important the divine union really is. And I think the younger generations really need to wake up more fully to that, how they're being brainwashed by their phone and how we are in this, how do you say it, throwaway culture or swipe culture. And just like full moon in Scorpio also brings a lot of awareness on like our sexual encounters and our sexual energy and how we share that with other people and how that leaves a mark on our DNA, like physically, that is like scientifically proven, but also how like these energetic bonds that we form with one another, how we can like take their problems in our own energetic field and how we are then more susceptible to certain traumas that we then share together with other people. And it can be very messy. And full moon in Scorpio can also be about like enmeshments and how a lot of people are thriving on certain toxic dynamics and how that needs to be healed. And Mars Venus sextile is definitely going to soften a lot of what's going on this month as well. Yeah, unfortunately, there is a lot of disassociation from our authentic selves. Definitely. Definitely also, if you look at the family unit and how I see within so many couples where either one of the two is really dominating the other, it is kind of like yeah, sad and hard for me to witness, because if we would all partake in trying to put the other person and putting them in their authentic power and balancing that out and helping them with being able to, yeah, just bring out the best in each other, the world will be so much better. But we live in such a like narcissistic kind of society where everyone wants to be the star in their own show, and they're all like over, I see a lot of people trying to dominate the other within a relationship, and it is always very hurtful. And it is all a lot also because of the Disney brainwash and other kind of brainwash on television. And I think there's going to be a lot more awareness in the next coming years on how the dark arts people are actually trying to cause a lot of issues within the family unit and within the divine union as well. Yeah, it is true. They have demonized anything natural. That is definitely true. And yes, Valerie, a good time to leave our phones at home and get off our devices. Yes, Uranus and Gemini, it's gonna make us aware, and we're gonna have so many liberating insights on how we are actually only distracting ourselves, like swiping on your phone, like doom scrolling all of the time. It is like just a tool, and it's not the right tool. It is a distraction kind of technique to not having to feel whatever is going on inside. And that is actually what the one percenters or those who control our world really want. Because every time that you're swept up in the sensational breaking news cycles and all the time that you're doom scrolling, that is all you consenting towards giving your time away to actually energy that depletes you. And that is then all lost time where you're not being able to unwind, calm down. Like, how many people do you see just like staring like into the abyss, or like looking in the depth and the fart of like the environment, just like sinking their thoughts, making space to have these new insights? There is so much anxiety in our society, and it is all because of the phone, you guys. We are not meant to know what's going on everywhere all of the time. It is not helping us, it is not beneficial at all. It is all a false sense of control, and we need to release control. That is what a full moon in Scorpio is all about. So yeah, put away your phone, especially at night. Enjoy the conversations, enjoy who's within the home, talk with them, do some like share or ping pong some philosophy with the people that you're close to. It is going to help you way better than reading all of these sensational news cycles. So yeah, we need to remove the ego. Yeah, but we also like kind of need the ego. Without my ego, I will not be able to talk here to you guys. So it's definitely about tapping into a more healthy manifestation of our ego. And it is something really, really rare these days. A lot of people only operate from a sense of I'm gonna like convince that person of how good I am, so I do not have to look at my own insecurity, and by then I can have a safe and sound sleep at night. But that is not how we grow, you guys. So yeah, leave the phone at home, go out, take a walk. And yeah, here, Sprinkle777 says a chip is going to be introduced and made to become the normal. And then they get to the point of being able to completely cut someone's soul off from the divine. People won't expect it. That is the mark of the beast, probably. Yeah, yeah. Uranus is about everything that deals with technology. And Gemini rules over our brain, but also our lungs, our hands, the wrists. So yeah, chips in the brain and in the hand. That is going to become quite mainstream and quite normal within the next 7.5 years with Uranus and Gemini. So we need to be very, very careful and aware about that. And of course, if you are blind and you're going to be able to see by the brain chip, it's difficult. Some people are going to be saying like, yeah, but there's a reason why you're born blind. And others are going to be like, this is a fantastic, beautiful technology that is going to help you to see how beautiful life is. It is all very difficult, you guys. So yeah. Monica says Rothschilds bought the herbal schools in 1910 and then closed them. Yeah. Like for every illness, there is a natural remedy. That is so true. But now, Uranus and Gemini, a lot of people, like Gemini is also like schools, and especially like elementary school, the younger generations, that is Gemini. Uranus is about technology, but Uranus is also about like breaking free, liberation, revolution, doing things in an alternative kind of way. So definitely alternative medicine that is going to help us with our brain, lungs, and hands is definitely also in the mix here with the trine to Pluto. So a lot of new technologies that are going to be invented. Inventions belong to Uranus. So yeah, that is going to be pretty interesting. And yeah, oh, I was not, that was not my intention to bring up that comment. It was actually the one below that I wanted to. That is a global weather. Yeah, chips. Yeah, we won't be doing chips. Yes, Laura, only chips with salsa. That's good. That is a good idea, Laura. Let's all have some chips together. All right. mRNA, doesn't he cause zero immunity? Yeah, I think so. It definitely attacks the immune system as well. And also, it's not because we unvaccinated people, we also need to be looking at how to detoxify the spike proteins, you guys. Like, I am a very big advocate. I'm never going to point fingers at who took the shots, who didn't. It all was very, like, a lot of people did that with a good intention to take care for their grandmother. Others did it to get a free donut. That is another conversation, of course. But it's not because we haven't taken them that we do not have to look for ways to detoxify the spike proteins. And of course, full moons in Scorpio are about purging. Scorpio deals with the purging organs, also the reproductive organs. And we know that the spikes are gathering within the ovaries of females, are causing major problems, also endometriosis and all of that. Also not healthy for men, of course. So I do take cosmetics every like 3 to 4 months, and they are like remedies. Cosmetics, it's like kind of pretty new still, but it works wonders, you guys. And you just take like every 4 days and those how do you say it, like a home, it's not homeopathy, it's still something different, it's something more new. And it is like the frequencies are tuned towards like the spike proteins, because it's very difficult. I think zeolite also really helps for that. But these cosmetic remedies also help you to shed the spike proteins. So it's also our responsibility, because people who have taken procedures, medical procedures, they do tend to shed on us. So we all need to really be looking on how to get rid of that. So yes, Chris, exactly. Chips can come with a backdoor kill switch. Yeah, that's also what we saw, what they are trying to implement within the cars in Canada right now, right? So yeah, that is definitely something to be mindful for. And all of these like smart meters inside of the home, all of that. Nope, we're not gonna do this. Yes, like I'm not gonna say that this is the full truth, but yes, parasites are the most common thing that causes a lot of illnesses. So getting rid of spike proteins, getting rid of all types of parasites every once in a while, that is definitely like the key to not become severely ill. That is definitely, I'm not saying that it is the cure, but it's definitely a way of preventing yourself getting seriously ill. That is definitely. Please share where you get these remedies. Well, it's actually called, I'm just going to type it in the chat, cosmetics, and the practitioner is actually called practitioner is cosopractor in Dutch, so that should be somehow kind of the same in English. So this is actually how you can look it up. If there's someone in your own neighborhood that practices this new specific treatment, that is really helpful for you guys. So I definitely do that once every few months. Yeah, the MAID program, that is also something, wow, I could do like a whole different show on that. The MAID program, that is definitely very intense. So To continue, yeah, this is also going to be very big for the financial market, you guys. Taurus and Scorpio moons are always very much focused on some kind of financial crisis. Scorpio and then a new moon in Taurus, something new being implemented here, new measures, new strategies, stabilizing of the markets, or trying to and investing in long-term growth strategies. So if you can buy some land, then I would definitely suggest that. Unfortunately, my wallet is not so big, but if you're being able to do that, then that will be the best thing here. Also, during the same day, also on May the 16th, we see Mars conjunct Chiron. This is a big one, you guys. Be very, very careful not to hurt yourself. Mars deals with the head, the arteries, everything that is red. Also, bruises, cuts, burns. Mars deals with knives, guns, bombs. And Aries is the self, it's within its own home sign. And Chiron is actual wounding. And yeah, we're gonna need to be a little bit more mindful. 28 degrees is a Cancer degree, so be mindful not to hurt yourself at home while cooking. New moon in Taurus, preparing food. Mercury, you're kind of lost in thoughts. Conjunct Uranus, something suddenly like happens, a sudden insight, sudden burst of clarity, and then whoops, you cut or burn yourself. Be very, very mindful. Cancer is also like not only being at home, it's also your family, it's also your emotions. Be careful not to hurt family relatives as well. With words, also with Mercury conjunct Uranus here. So yeah, it's gonna be very important. Monica says silver is the best bet. Real estate is still crashing. Yeah, there's gonna be. It is true, but like everything is crashing. And I'm saying this with like a bittersweet laugh here because it's kind of difficult. And of course, I'm not a financial advisor, and it all also strongly depends on which country. So during this time, it might be smart to really consult a financial advisor to look at where you can invest in. But yes, of course, metals, gold, silver. Yes, I'm a very big advocate for that. And once Jupiter, like Jupiter in Cancer, Cancer rules over silver. And look what silver did the last couple of months. And you guys, when Jupiter is at the end of Cancer, by the end of June, and as it is about to switch over into Leo, Leo rules over gold. And it's only when Jupiter makes a significant shift from one sign to the other that we can see a very big surge. And of course, Cancer is silver. So yeah, I'm not a financial advisor, but this is what the astrology is saying. So yeah. Yes, silver, definitely. Yeah, diversify. Do not put all your eggs in one basket, you guys. You need to be very, very smart and do not all bet it onto one and the same horse. That is going to be the most important thing. Yes, definitely make sure you have some cash at home as well. Yes, that is always very necessary as well. Because actually, a couple of weeks ago, when Uranus was at the 29 critical degree, my mom went shopping, and like my mom, she has Pluto and Uranus in the first house. She's like a major truth, freedom kind of warrior, and she always has cash at home. And she was shopping into like the main street where all the shops are, and the electronic devices, how do you call it, like bank contact, how do you say it in English, like the wireless cashless like transfer, it wasn't working. Everything was like crashing out, and everyone was standing in the line with their groceries, and like, oh yeah, well, I do not have cash. And the lady was like, yeah, well, then that's no food for you. And my mom proudly walking in front of the line with always cash in her pocket, and she's like, yeah, well, she shouted for the entire store. It's very interesting to have cash at home, because when the system fails or like the electricity goes down, then we cannot eat. And it's like she proudly walked at home, and like I love her so much because she's just like the biggest freedom warrior, and I'm so grateful to be born with her. She is definitely yeah, a very special mother. I'm very grateful. So yeah, have some cash at home. If something were to go down, that you're still being able to yeah, pay. All right. Yes, go, mom. And yeah, it must be you guys are definitely close in age. Yes. Another freedom warrior, Lakeside Laura. She's triple fire. That is something else, man. Yeah. Chris says silver is the new golden goose. Yeah, that could be very well the case, Chris. That is definitely the truth. Generators save lives. Yeah, it's going to be important to have a generator in the next couple of years, especially with the eclipses in the sign of Aquarius. So yes, go mom, Pascal. Yes, Pascal. She is a badass. All right. So Mars conjunct Chiron. That is where we left off. So of course, Chiron, it always exposes like wounds, and those can be related to like Aries, kind of like our identity, our confidence, anger, our ability to take action. The conjunctions can always go either way. They either bring pain or they can bring healing, depending on your own evolutionary process. But definitely, if you have unresolved wounds or issues around self worth and also power and your personal identity, then that is going to come to the surface. And maybe it's going to re-trigger some kind of wound, and some situation can come up where we're going to be confronted, or we're going to be forced to confront where we feel inadequate or rejected or unable to fully assert ourselves. And in the confrontation is going to lie a very deep potential to heal and empower yourself. So yeah, be confident. Do not be afraid. Sometimes Aries can be a little bit afraid of being too much, being too loud, being too out there, being too blunt. They have this like infinite potential of like they have this infinity amount of energy, but other signs do not always yeah, love that in the best way, even though they have like always very good intentions. But yeah, it can be pretty loud. So the next day we have May 17th, Mercury enters Gemini and will conjunct Uranus. Yes, this is going to be a big day, you guys, and can be very, very positive. This is like genius level insights, you guys. It's going to be a bit unpredictable, as is always the case with Uranus, but Mercury likes to be in Gemini. It's in its home sign. It is like very comfortable with the energy, but now Uranus is there, and it's like, ooh, okay, this is like our minds going at high speed. There's going to be heightened awareness, sudden insights, which can cause a little bit disruption, but it's good to tap into the more innovative side, and unexpected shifts are definitely going to change or like upgrade our perception. So yeah, this is a very electric kind of mental atmosphere. Ideas are gonna move very quickly. We're gonna have breakthroughs occurring within the blink of an eye. Usual patterns of thinking are disrupted and rebooted and upgraded. This is really about like awakening and liberation. There can be a sense of instability, because honestly, I know people who are born with Mercury on Uranus, and some of them are just literally nutcases. They have either a bipolar disorder, or they are a little bit yeah, bipolar or like borderline, or like that can sometimes be the case. Because sorry, you guys, if you guys have a natal Mercury Uranus aspect, I'm not saying that you're crazy, but the line between being genius and next level crazy and stable, it is very, very thin. So we're going to be needing to be a little bit mindful about that. But definitely, if you're being able to tap into the higher manifestation, then these can really bring flashes of insights. And it's going to be the very first time, you guys, with Uranus now fully in Gemini, that Mercury in its home sign will conjunct it, and then later also the Sun. So yeah, Claudio says very, very thin. Yes. Yeah, it is thin. It is just the truth, you guys. And um yeah, you're gonna see it playing out in people. I know someone with Uranus on the Sun in my neighborhood. Also, President Donald Trump also has Uranus on the Sun. So yeah, it's like a little bit of shock therapy from time to time, but it can be very entertaining. It can cause disruption. It can cause a lot of feedback. Let's just call it that way. Also, a little bit further in time, we are going to see Mars entering into the sign of Taurus as well. That will be on the 18th. So Mars, a fire planet in an earth sign, it's going to get cooled off a bit because it's going to leave its home sign. And also important to notice, you guys, that the couple of days before the 18th, Mars will be at its critical degrees in its home sign of Aries, conjuncting Chiron. Be like, temper yourself, like the card temperance from the tarot. Just like put it on your wall, wake up with it, go sleeping with it, and it's going to help you to tone it down a little bit, because that is going to be necessary. Yeah. Sprinkler says, what about Mercury opposite Uranus? It kind of brings a little bit of the same energy, but in a more difficult aspect. It also strongly depends on which signs they are, of course, but Uranus is actually the higher octave of Mercury. Mercury is the messenger of the gods, but Uranus is like the Promethean archetype of Prometheus, bringing the fire and the knowledge of the gods and gifting that to humanity. So it's always about like insights and liberation and hidden knowledge also coming into our awareness. So these conjunctions or oppositions can be very mindful, but it can feel like your mind is on fire and it's just like a little bit too much from time to time. So it's very important to do breath work to calm down the nervous system, Uranus, calm down your fried brain that is going to be so electrified by Uranus. So breath work is, of course, part of Gemini. Gemini is an air sign. Uranus is an air planet. Mercury is at home. So the breath is going to help you to regulate everything. And people who have natal aspects between Mercury and Uranus should definitely do that on a daily basis. So, yeah, Mars in Taurus, it will be there until the end of June. And it's actually on the 28th of June, it will then shift over into Gemini, Mars here. While at the same day or a day later, Venus is also going to then enter Cancer. So there's like a big shift of the divine feminine and divine masculine at the very same time. That is actually very beautiful. I'm going to show you here at the next slide. So it's actually, yeah, here in my slides, it says the same day. It depends on you. If you're living in the States or Europe, then that can differ a little bit. So look it up for your own time zone if you want to know the correct date, of course. So on the 18th, then also Venus, the ruler of Taurus, is going to enter Cancer, and then Mars and Venus are going to make a very beautiful sextile. It is more softer, harmonious, and a more harmonious tone when it comes to law of attraction and desire, and it is a very short, pleasant window for connection and emotional warmth. But Mars is not so very comfortable in Taurus, you guys. Mars is in detriment in Taurus because it opposes its home sign of Scorpio, and you can feel like the energy, it's being like forced to slow down a little bit. You can feel like we're so used of the Mars and Aries and going full force ahead and acting on our desires and going after what we want, and then suddenly Mars jumps into Taurus, and then it's like you have your gas on the pedal with the brakes on, and you're just like spinning a little bit of wheels, and it can feel like there's a lot of heat and rubber, and you're just like barely moving on the street. That is how it can feel a little bit. So there's going to be a kind of a shift, but I think it's necessary to like kind of integrate all of the fastness and speediness of Mars and Aries. So for some people, it can feel like a welcoming change. If you're like an Aries like me, then you can feel like, oh no, I'm forced to slow down, and I was just like really on a roll. And so it depends on what sign you are, of course. Patience, endurance, progress is going to be a bit slower than the last couple of weeks, and we need to be a little bit more stable and deliberate as well. Work with the pace of reality rather than against it. And sometimes we need to just recognize that our steady, slow moving efforts are gonna get us further than rushing ahead. And that is like my life mission that I'm really struggling to integrate because, yeah, as a fire sign, that is a little bit more difficult. And patience is gonna be needed a little bit more here. So yeah, hi John. A lot of smoke and fire. Yeah, that is true. People are gonna be wanna move, and they're not gonna be able to as fast as they would like. So yeah, Sprinkler says Mars in Aries is just fine for me. I have my Mercury chart ruler in Aries and my Mars in Scorpio. Ooh, Sprinkle, that is feisty. And I love the energy. I already like, I can feel it. But yeah, Mars in Aries, it's also very fine for me. It's like better than fine. I have been feeling tremendously well. So I'm actually a little bit bummed out that it's gonna jump into Taurus, but it's gonna make a beautiful sextile at the end of the month then with Venus. So yeah, there's always something with astrology. We have our ups and our downs, and by looking at the forecast, we can then determine on where and when we can take certain actions and where we just gonna need to slow down and chill out a little bit more. So um the next one, or did I forgot to share? No, yeah, but Venus in Cancer, that is of course the more relational energy and a shift within that towards like more emotional depth, nurturing. Um, she's very sensitive and protective in Cancer, and yeah, it's really about connection that is more rooted in care and comfort. And it's about feeling safe and seen and emotional bonding. So, very positive for emotional closeness and forming a new meaningful connection. Relationships are going to be a little bit more sensitive. And after all the blunt, Aries, fiery energy, maybe we need to cuddle a little bit more under our blankets together. Then on the 19th, Mercury in Gemini is going to make a beautiful trine towards Pluto and Aquarius. That is going to be a harmonious alignment between our thoughts and Pluto, the power planet and transformation and truth. And yeah, this is about like deep insights and strategic thinking, and there can be a very beautiful transformative conversation taking place. And it's also very good to understand like the hidden dynamics without becoming like too overwhelmed or obsessive. And this is really strong one for intellectual empowerment. Then on the same day, Mercury is also going to square the nodes of fate. And you guys, Mercury is at home in Gemini, so it's very, very strong. Mercury is going to become so chatty, you guys. Like now we have Venus in Gemini. You can already feel like when you are talking within relationships or when you are like out and about doing groceries or talking to certain people in your environment, it's already like lighter and more fun and a little bit more flirtatious, and there's like flirtatious banter and jokes and lightness, and that is already us stepping into the Venus beauty, love, relationships into Gemini, which is way lighter. Then Mercury, which belongs into Gemini, is also going to jump into there. So this is actually very beautiful, beneficial kind of energy. And the fact that it then also going to square to the nodes are not so bad. I feel like in my own personal experience, squares to the nodes are actually very good. It's like a cosmic push. And there is like a crossroad because Mercury will square the north node simultaneously, also the south node. So there's like Mercury, our thoughts are looking at the past and the future at the same time. So we can feel like we're at the crossroad where there can be important choices, conversations, or information being shared that are going to carry very long-term significance. And they can push us out of the past and propel us into the future. So for some who are struggling a little bit, it can bring a little bit mental confusion or feeling doubts or difficulties knowing which direction to take. But if you surrender and if you look at what's going to help you best on your soul path, then it's going to be a very important time here for you guys. On the 21st here, we have the start of Gemini season. So happy birthday to my beautiful Gemini sons. This is your birthday, of course. And we're also seeing that then the sun will also conjunct Uranus, you guys. This is gonna be a lot. This is gonna be, if you have your birthday between the 21st and let's say the 24th. Wow, that is gonna be a very, very beneficial, and you're gonna have a year that is gonna be filled with important breakthroughs, you guys. But if I before I go too fast, let's also quickly touch upon Venus in Cancer squaring Neptune. A little bit confusion within relationships here. And then Venus simultaneously is also trying the North Node in Pisces. So you see how cool this is, guys. Mercury will form a trine to Aquarius, to Pluto in Aquarius, while also squaring the nodes. Then Venus in Cancer, a couple of days later, is going to square Neptune, but trine the North Node and sextile the South Node, of course. So there is like a lot of activity going on here. But of course, Gemini season, that is more about like, yeah, this is not, you guys, the same Gemini energy that we're used to. Everything just shifted with Uranus that entered Gemini on the 26th of April. So yeah, this is now like the hub for disruption, innovations, and insights. And yeah, it's taking over the role that Taurus held over the past several years. So this completely changes the tone of Gemini in a very noticeable way. And I want to really like wave my flag at the Geminis, because you guys are going to be the rebels and the revolutionary energies that are going to really propel us into having very big breakthroughs within our consciousness over the next couple of years. So I'm really looking forward to that. But Geminis, be very, very careful to not shock other people too much. John says, I am wondering if there will be a Gemini baby boom. Well, John, that is actually a very good question. Honestly, when Pluto was in Leo, then we saw the baby boom. Now Pluto is in the opposite sign of Leo in Aquarius, so it should give us the opposite effect. And I know that can sound a little bit scary, but honestly, how do I say it polite? A lot of people are so focused on themselves that they are not bothered anymore by creating a family. And that is also a very big part of the brainwash that we are in every day within news cycles and our phone. They are actively attacking the family unit, as I've already touched upon a little bit earlier in this forecast. And with Jupiter in Cancer, I was hoping to see more people creating families, but I feel like that's not really been the case. Of course, we live in a very unstable world. We cannot deny that, but still, I feel like a lot of people are just so focused on themselves and just so focused on their own healing process, so focused on projecting a lot of stuff onto their parents, on why they are not being able to create families of their own. Yeah, of course, a lot of people have had bad upbringing, and I do not want to minimize that at all. But when do we stop healing, and when do we start to like integrate everything that we've learned and pass that on to our children? Yeah, a lot of people say this is such a bad world to create a child in, and I agree to some sort of level, but I also feel like we have the power in our own hands to birth a new world and pass on our consciousness towards our children in like a healthy way with everything that we know. Everyone who's gathered here today, you guys all know so much and you have such a wide perspective and you're being able to tap into the higher knowledge. And yeah, but as I already mentioned, like everyone is so busy being the star in their own show that they are not being able to give up certain things on which they feed upon, because then they need to like put themselves back a step and give up a lot of things for their children. And if you are making a conscious decision not to have children, and I totally understand that, I'm not even sure if I'm gonna be a mom once in this lifetime, but still, I really want to put a big focus on communities and on building these beautiful new, building beautiful new life together with a healthy kind of family unit and a healthy manifestation of the divine and masculine, divine female and masculine energy. That is what I was thinking. John says the more the merrier. That is happy, yeah. But like with everything, like our economy that is so expensive, like it's even for a lot of people very, very difficult to provide food for themselves. So yeah, of course you're then not gonna make a child if you're already struggling to pay everything for yourself. So yeah, I do really understand. But that is actually exactly where the dark arts people want to push us towards. They do not want us to make children. That is very apparent within all of the brainwash daily. So it is a sign of the times. And yeah, it is true, world populations are seriously declining at the moment. And I know that is because Pluto is in Aquarius. Pluto is death, and Aquarius is the collective society, groups of people. So no, we are currently not in a baby boom. No, not at all. It is very seriously declining. So that is why we all need to like come together and combine our forces and take care of one another. Like when I travel to Africa, just seeing and being able how like they do not have anything themselves, and how they would still like take off their last t-shirt and give it to someone who needs it more. Like my trip to Africa, it brought me so much insight, and these people are so strong, and us people in the West can learn so much from that. How they, with so much less than us here in the West, are still being able to thrive together, and how I can see how strong their children are, and how much more connected to their inner world they are, and how much more psychic they are, because they're more connected to the land and to nature. And yeah, it just like kind of still makes me a bit emotional when I think about it. But yeah, that was like a very huge wake-up call in my own spiritual journey. And I know it's possible. We are just so isolated here. We're all stuck onto one another. We're living so close onto one another, and there is absolutely no connectivity. And the phone, there we are again, yet again, the phone is a very big instigator of that. Yes, and of course, John, yeah, hurdles are meant to be leaped over, but it needs to be possible. And the longer we go into time, and how crazier the economy becomes, the more difficult that is. So yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's switch over to the last slide for the May collective transits. So yeah, the Sun conjunct Uranus. Buckle up, Buttercup. This is gonna be a pretty big deal, you guys. It's gonna be one of the most potent and disruptive alignments of the entire month. But I do want to give like a disclaimer, or like for your information, this one is gonna be nothing compared to the 4th of July, or is it the 2nd of July? It's somewhere, it's in the first 3-4 days of July. Mars will conjunct Uranus for the very first time in Gemini. That is going to be cosmic fireworks. It's going to be unreal. This is going to be a little bit of a sneak peek and a little bit of a proper preparation on like the first week of July. That is going to be nuts, honestly. So yeah, Sun conjunct Uranus. Sun is identity, consciousness, visibility, life force, and of course Uranus, it is about like sudden change, innovation, rebellion, awakening, and this is like a Kazemi with Uranus. It's like Uranus Kazemi. So the sun is fused with Uranus, is like innovative, nutty professor kind of archetype, being ahead of its time, thinking outside of the box. This is very big breakthrough energy, but it's very unpredictable and it can bring radical shifts in awareness, you guys. So something is gonna get disrupted or upgraded, new paradigms of thinking. We can even see new paradigms in scientific things that we long held as truth that can now change completely. Another thing, you guys, is that I think that Jeffrey Epstein might be coming up again, because Jeffrey Epstein's sun is located at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So the sun and Uranus now conjunct will trine that. And every time that happens, something got released. So yeah, prepare yourself for that. That could be a very big possibility here that we're going to see as well. Then on the 24th, the sun will sextile Neptune. Very good for like our conscience and awareness. The sun has a positive connection to intuition, imagination, transcendence. So yeah, we can feel inspired, definitely after the conjunction with Uranus that is still into play here as well. On the 25th, we are going to see, and this is actually, you guys, this is honestly to me the biggest headliner of this month. Mars in Taurus is going to square Pluto retrograde. So yeah, John, we can use the buckle up buttercup from like May 21st until definitely the 26th, but I would even say until the end of the month with the full moon in Sag as well. That is going to be the peak period. What is the degree of the Sun Uranus conjunction? Uranus will be at 1 degree, if I'm correct. It will be 1 or 2 degrees. I should actually double check the chart, but if I look at the full moon here, I will see that. Yes, it will be 2. Oh no, it will be 1 degree. 1 degree, almost 2. So if that helps, Sprinkle. Yeah, like Sprinkle, I'm gonna just show you in the chart right here. Here we see the chart for the full moon in Sag, and here we see the sun that will be conjunct Uranus, but it's only at 2 degrees now. So the conjunction will take place at 1 degrees, and that is an Aries degrees, you guys. So also a bit more fascinating and feisty. So Mars square Pluto. That is always like, it's not going to be as intense as the Mars square Uranus, which we saw on the 28th of February when the first bombs on Iran flew or arrived, unfortunately. Now we see Mars square Pluto. Every time Mars makes a square towards like an outer planet, then that is like a big deal, you guys, especially Uranus, especially Pluto. But Uranus squares to Mars are definitely a bit more volatile than the squares to Pluto. This is like a waxing square. So it's the first major point of the tension since the conjunction that they had. So it's like building the energy. It is intense, it is forceful, confrontational. It demands a lot of resilience. It's going to push us to dig deep and to face a lot of challenges head on. And it's a time where we need to draw upon strength that we didn't know we had. So yeah, on a collective level, you guys, this is gonna be very much linked to power struggles, covert tactics, strategic conflicts, behind the scenes maneuvering, and it's gonna like not so much involve the shock energy of Mars Uranus squares, but it's a bit more calculated, a bit more connected to control here with Pluto and hidden influence and who's really in power. And it's going to bring some very complex negotiations. So this is going to be a big one for Russia, you guys. I'm already going to give you that. Yeah, this is like very big organized systems, operations within like intelligence or like intelligence operations, and it's definitely heavily connected to technology, and it's going to be shaping the future of power structures, especially connected to conflict and warfare. So Yeah, of course, Mars and Pluto, when they were planting a seed together, that was then the conjunction. We just saw that on January the 27th. So go back and look at what happened around the 27th of January. If there was something specific happening in your life, that is now going to face a little bit of friction, whatever that got planted during that time. We then had actually a very powerful Aquarius stellium. So, of course, what happened during the 27th of January? There was so many things going on with the Epstein files, you guys. So definitely there could be a possibility that that is here going to be majorly triggered again in some kind of way. Because they started doing wars, hoping, praying that we would forget about the Epstein files. Well, it's not going to be the case, you guys. Also, it can bring a lot of yeah, like Sprinkle says, I had a huge blow up with someone I care about on the 27th of January. Yeah, like whenever like Mars and Pluto, they are about like conflict and forceful and intensity and assertiveness, and can become very overwhelming and very dominant. Like I also had like a major fight with someone that I would never expect them to be so controlling over me, and yeah, it was actually kind of big deal. So now whatever happened back then could now see like some kind of continuation, but it will not be an easy continuation because it's a square right now. Whenever they are conjunct, the energy can go both ways. They either is about like using that force to investigate something very deeply, or you become a controlling maniac and bulldoze over other people. It depends on your own personal journey, but sometimes we are forced, Pluto, to defend ourselves or to stand up for ourselves, or yeah, just defend ourselves against attacks. And these attacks, they can be very manipulative, can be obsessive, controlling. Sometimes when I see people with a Mars Pluto conjunction, or for example, a Mars Pluto Sun conjunction, I already saw that as well. These people can be very dark, very forceful, even a little bit psychopath, very egotistical. So it's really about obsessive control of maniac tendencies, and we need to be a little bit more careful about that. Um, um, John, I'm not really getting what you are saying in this comment. Can you elaborate a little bit on that, please? Yeah, of course, Sprinkle, if you have like both heavy Scorpio, Pluto energies in your charts, then of course, if you are in Aries, Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising, you are going to be in a direct line of fire and your boundaries are going to get tested. And yeah, Sprinkle, I became a controlling maniac to some degree. I felt like I was being deceived and manipulated. Yes. And then the stinger comes out and then it becomes quite destructive, and yeah, it can like literally burn the house down, but like in a metaphorical kind of way. So not such an easy energy, honestly. And yeah, for Russia, this is going to be a very big team. It's going to bring a lot of developments and also consequences to what was like set into motion back then during the 27th of January. So global hotspots are gonna get infused, inflamed. Mars is gonna activate a lot of sensitive parts and a lot of national charts here. There's gonna be heightened tension and also escalation within certain regions, and there's going to be pressure, transformation, and also a very big need to navigate power dynamics very carefully and very consciously, you guys. This is going to be a very big one. And some are going to be like really digging their heels in and resist change, even when necessary, when like transformation is very necessary. And it can ultimately also lead towards frustration, conflicts, feelings of being stuck, and yeah, this is forcing awareness of where you are like holding onto something that you might need to let go. It's about again reclaiming power and confronting fears around loss and change and vulnerability. It's pushing us very massively to go deep within. And this is gonna expose strictures or of governance, and can also be a little bit more difficult for financial markets, honestly. But this is about deep restructural, like a rebuild happening. So yeah, thank you for mentioning that, Sprinkle. It is actually very good to be aware. And yeah, Mars conjunct Mars in Scorpio. Whoo, holy guacamole! That is very feisty. That is very beautiful, Valerie. Valerie says my moon is also on the galactic center. That is so beautiful. That is in the sign of Sagittarius. And my Jupiter, which is at home in Sagittarius, in the third house of communication, is also conjunct the galactic center. So we have a moon conjunct Jupiter, Valerie. That is very, very beautiful. All right. So then, Sun in Gemini, trine Pluto in Aquarius. That is very beautiful, positive aspect. We're gonna have a lot of like insights, and we're gonna be talking and integrating the Mars square Pluto, and Sun trine Pluto is then gonna help us with that. Venus square Saturn, that is a little bit more difficult, and it's going to bring relationship reality slaps in some kind of way. Venus in Cancer, very soft, very feminine, very emotional, making a harsh aspect to Saturn and Aries can be a little bit more difficult, honestly. So if you feel like your emotions are getting cooled off a little bit more, or it might be a day where you wake up and you feel like, oh wow, I totally do not feel in love today, or there's something happening that is putting a damper on my finances. That is very possible. It's a short-lived aspect. We're just gonna have to deal with that. And then to end the month, we have the third lunation, and that is a full moon in Sag, you guys. This is an important one, and I'm going to tell you why, of course. Sag, it deals with truth, belief systems, our own inner truth, our higher knowledge, and also like our future direction and our ability to zoom out and look at like the 40,000 feet view. These are very important, and it's a full moon. It's again releasing some of our beliefs and some things that we thought were truth, and now we're going to get so many insights after the sun on Uranus and the Pluto square Mars, and something that we thought was real or shaped our perception is being released. And oh, there's so many Sag moons here in the chat. That is actually very cool. I see a lot of comments about Sag moons. You guys are so like, you're sensitive towards the truth, and you are also very fun to be around it. A moon in Sag is actually very, very cool to have. The coolest part about this full moon is that it happens at 9 degrees, you guys. 9 degrees is a Sag degree. So it doesn't get more saggy than this. So this is going to be a pretty cool one. Think about your philosophy, worldview, travel, education, law, our search for meaning. All of that belongs to Sag. And 9 degrees, that is so cool, you guys. Movement, forward vision, needing to act on something that we have realized, a new truth coming in, new insights. So yeah, revelations that demand integration and thereby also action. So of course, the sun is in Gemini, facts, information, data, and then the moon in Sag is more about like the meaning of that and the interpretation. But it's also like a powerful moment where we need to, like, the information must be synthesized into some kind of wisdom. It's not good enough to like gather data. We now like are being asked to decide what it means and how it's going to shape our forward direction. So very big turning point in like our perspective. But what's also important here, on a more mundane level, it's about international relationships. It can be about trade. And look, you guys, Mercury is still also in Gemini, very, very important here. And it's squaring or about to square Neptune. Yeah, some kind of trade contracts are going to get dissolved by some international relationships that are going to be let go of. It's going to affect the globe with it being at a 9 degree, and then Mercury is going to square Neptune and then also Saturn. This is going to be a bit more difficult. And also because um, there is going to be an arrival of new important knowledge. And what's so special about this full moon is that it actually squares the nodes. So it makes a square to the south node, and it also makes a square to the north node. So when we see newer full moons squaring the nodes, we can also call that at the bending of the nodes. So that means that they are carrying a little bit of like eclipse kind of energy, because this is like bridging between eclipse seasons. We are now in the middle before the new eclipse season is going to kick off. So this is important, you guys. It's going to give us previews and omens about what our next eclipse season is about to look like. Yeah, important. It's like a foreshadowing about what's to come in August. And in August, of course, we're going to see our first eclipse, our first solar eclipse in the sign of Leo, and it will be at 20 degrees Scorpio degree. This is going to be so big for the states, as the states and the President Donald Trump's administration, it is filled with Leo energy. It's like kind of insane how much Leo energy there is in the whole administration, and how that is going to get eclipsed in August, you guys. So also, of course, the previous eclipse period was also very intense with the release of the Epstein files, and then also the strikes on Iran. And now there is like an intersection between what happened back then and what's about to unfold in August. Maybe the Epstein related topics can also return now during this full moon, or with the new moon solar eclipse in Leo. That is definitely the case. And I think other nations are also going to be majorly affected. Maybe we're going to hear something more about Cuba. That is also possible here. Or some kind of hidden lost knowledge in regards to Egypt, because the solar eclipse in Leo is going to be conjunct a whole lot of Egyptian asteroids. And now we're like already in the omens, or like the preview period of what's about to come in August. This is going to be a very exciting, informative, expansive, revealing, lost knowledge kind of lunation here. So I'm actually pretty excited about this one. Yeah, major revelations. But Sag, it also deals with like law and justice and international relations and higher education and like universities and all of that. There's going to be major headlines here, you guys. But on a more personal level, it's about seeking higher truth. Yeah, that is cool. The Ace of Pentacles. Let's hope that that is correct, Chris Cole. We can all use an Ace of Pentacles right now. That is definitely the case. Sag Rising, that is so cool. And also heart energy. Yeah, like if you look at Venus, the heart energy in this lunation is a little bit more difficult, as Venus is squaring Saturn here in the chart. But you guys, on the 8th of June, so that will be for my next forecast, the two benefics are going to be conjuncting one another. That is going to be a pretty big deal, especially if you're a walrus sign. So yeah, that is going to be more positive news for the month of June, you guys. And of course, also, I have something cool to share, because Floraline is actually presenting her Spring Glow collection. This is actually face and body soap, and it's a very it smells so good, her soap trio, and it's actually a perfect Mother Day's gift. Like with Mother Day coming up, This can be a very cool gift to make a whole basket of all gifts combined. So yeah, this one can definitely not miss that. So you can use, you can go actually to the Floraline farm and you can use BM10 to get 10% off your next order. So you guys, let me look at the comments. Yeah, it's very pretty. Like these are handmade. They are made with so much love. They are so beautiful. It is actually yeah. Is there any heart energy in your HTML? I actually do not really get the last one. Is there any heart energy, Bamlo? Yes, definitely. On the 8th of June, we have the best aspect of the two benefics here, Jupiter and Venus coming together. So that is going to be such a welcoming, beautiful blessing to have the greater benefic and the lesser benefic creating a lot of heart energy together. Um, What's my favorite astrology book? I actually do not have a favorite one, but I like Karen Hamaker. I also like Robert Hand. It depends on what you're looking for, the aspects, your natal chart, the planets, the angles, the houses. There is so much that it really depends on what you guys are looking for. All right, before I start the 12 signs, let me take a card for you guys and for the energy of the month ahead. And let's see what the universe wants you to focus on. And there are actually two cards fell out. So the first one is the water carrier. What really matters, reflect, reprioritize. And it's funny because this one wants to come out a lot. So I really think like a lot of people are a little bit stuck within fear with everything that is going on right now. And I actually really understand that because it ain't easy at all. But it's really about, yeah, what really matters and being able to reflect and reprioritize. So reflecting is definitely also with the full moon in Scorpio, and reprioritizing is definitely also with Saturn and Aries. And it's also about doing a lot of things for the very first time and really learning that we can just do our, we can do so much by ourselves by believing in ourselves. Neptune is in Aries, and then Saturn in Aries is wanting to structurize our fire. And fire, like Aries, it's the first cardinal fire sign. It's like a match and a spark, something that gets ignited. So Mars is still within its home sign for the next couple of days, so we really need to use and draw upon that energy as well, especially when it's about to conjunct Chiron and heal our own wounds about rejection, about being or feeling inadequate, and really realizing that we have all what it takes to succeed and believing in that. And then the second one is a very beautiful one. It's Atlantis. Keep the big vision, stay in alignment as you grow. And that is definitely correlated to the full moon in Sagittarius, and what I was highlighting about a lot of past or like hidden or lost ancient knowledge that is about to return. So that is really a big confirmation about that. I am so excited because I also saw like news about a second Sphinx that they would have been detected underground with the new like technology, and I hope they're gonna start excavating. And so funny also to be talking about excavation during this full moon in Scorpio, because full moon in Scorpio, it's what's hidden beneath the surface, and researching, investigating that with a magnifying glass, looking what's hidden beneath. And then we have Atlantis. It's like lost ancient civilizations. And that is definitely gonna be coming up in August pretty soon, you guys. So pretty excited about that. Yes, Arno, Atlantis activations, Lemuria, very beautiful. Yeah, yeah, Cloyo, I really feel so too. And believe me, the solar eclipse in Leo on the 12th of August conjunct all these Egyptian asteroids. That is gonna be very, very cool. Yeah, it is happening. We have been prepared for it for a very long time. This summer, it will be incoming for sure. So yeah, I think AI has something to do with a lost civilization. That could be the case, and it's also like very interesting to see how AI models reenact the whole Tartaria civilization. And like honestly, yeah, Hyperborea, beautiful. That is definitely also one to be coming up over the summer. But it's beautiful how AI can like reenact or simulate the whole Tartarian like vibe and archetype. And I know probably there are going to be faults in that, but still, I like to look at it and dream away. And yeah, it's very interesting. All right, yes, we have another Hyperborea fan. That is very cool. All right, let's start the 12 signs. Oh, I forgot to actually put that in my slide deck. So let me just quickly integrate that. Oh my God, I have never forgot that. Oh yeah, here we have it. It's just gonna have to upload real quick. So Bamlo says the Matrix is like the Maya illusion. Well, what's interesting, Bamlo, is that the Mayas, they said that the end of the world was in 2012, but something is misaligned within our whole Gregorian calendar bullshit system. And there are now new people who say that 2012 was actually our 2020. For me, that like kind of resonates. So let me know in the chat or in the comments how you feel about that. But yeah, the Matrix, yes, it is an illusion, but it's actually kind of a game. And when we can look at it from this perspective, it kind of gets interesting to, yeah, play the game, but in a way how you can set yourself free and to not be part of the slavery system anymore. But yeah, definitely not easy. All right, my slides have uploaded. So, add to stage. Yes, here we have the 12 rising signs. All right, we're going to start with my dear fellow Aries, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So, the full moon in Scorpio, of course, that happened in your 8th house already. So, that is definitely bringing up a lot of highly transformative energy. It's about intimacy, shared resources, psychological depth, your emotional entanglements, and something being revealed or released within that. So it's how you share your money with others, depth investments. It works very deep and it's very revealing on a psychological and emotional kind of plane. So let go of patterns of control, certain emotional attachments, some kind of fears and secrets might also be illuminated. Of course, your chart ruler, Aries, it's still within your sign. So full force ahead, and you have a lot of energy, right? If you now look at the new moon for my dear Aries, that will be in Taurus in your 2nd house of finances. So, Aries, you are the sign which is going to go through like the deepest financial restructuring this month. And it's really like a very big give and take axis that needs to be rebalanced. So, yeah, very big focus on whatever you're sharing, how much are you receiving, how much are you taking versus how are you giving, and that needs to be rebalanced. Now new moon, especially in the 2nd house, is like planting new seeds for sustainable income. So definitely a very big focus on finances. And yeah, be careful with, yeah, Mars conjunct Chiron. Your chart ruler this day will be conjunct Chiron, but the energy is already like incoming for the couple of days before that. So be careful how you assert yourself so you do not hurt anyone else. All right, we have Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Rising. My dear Taurus, you have or had the full moon in Scorpio in your 7th house. And before I go too fast, if you guys are wondering, like, why are you not talking about the full moon that we're going to see in Sagittarius, I will include that one for my next forecast. So quickly, just like a side note, because otherwise it's just a little bit too much of lunations in one presentation. So Taurus, You are having your full moon in Scorpio in your opposing sign in the seventh house. The seventh house is about your relationships and partnerships and also your one-on-one dynamics. So yeah, it brings a lot of depth and intensity and a lot of emotional honesty. This is definitely not about surface level interactions. It's about culmination or revelations in unspoken tension or emotional needs or some power dynamics and also like deeper desires within a relationship. So yeah, you're either releasing one if it's toxic, or you can be vulnerable and open up and even deepen your relationship. So yeah, what do you need from other people? And are you overgiving? Are you holding back? Are your relationships built on truth or in comfort? Who are you in a relationship? And rebalancing your connections by getting to know yourself more fully. Of course, your chart ruler Venus is within your second house, trining Pluto right now. So that is actually, or has just trined Pluto, very positive for your finances. And of course, your ruler, Venus, will enter Cancer on May 18th, and that will then be in the third house of communication and emails, phone calls, business, siblings, neighbors. So that can definitely be strengthening relationships through having a lot of honest conversations. And then, of course, your new moon on May the 16th, you guys. This is very positive. This is going to be your first new moon without Uranus in your sign, but because it's at the later degrees, it will still be under the influence of Uranus. So you're still not totally off the bat or off the hook, but still, it's going to be better. A lot of change and disruption has now left the sign of you where it was operating within. So it's actually a very big shift in like finding a new stability within side of yourself. Let me know in the comments or in the chat, or if you have been like noticing a shift within all of that. Of course, Uranus is now in your second. That is more about like changes or sometimes disruptions or breakthroughs within your finances in the second house. So actually very, very important here, and also very welcome energy here for you guys. Of course, a new moon in your own house or in your own sign, this is about like a total reboot of your identity and a new direction and a new sense of like self-definition. So yeah, are you in alignment with your core self? And also, yeah, there is a Mercury Cazimi in your sign as well. There is like a lot of breakthroughs happening, a lot of new insights, new way of presenting yourself, which is actually quite positive here for you. There are like no afflictions apart from it being conjunct the demon star Algol, but it can also be about a breakthrough within wealth if it's positively aspected in your chart. So it really depends on your own natal chart, of course. But still, Mars is going to enter Taurus on May the 18th. So boost in energy. You're going to feel more motivated and ready to take action. And yeah, it's just going to be very positive for you. You are coming out of like, yeah, the 12th house of isolation, and all the planets are now like moving into your sign, and Mars will then also be accompanying you in Taurus, and it's like a very big boost on coming out of hiding and yeah, reintegrating something within your identity and showing that to the world. So good luck, Taurus. We have Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising. You just had the full moon on Scorpio in your sixth house, which is the house of work and health and well-being. It can also be the house of stress and finding some kind of new daily routine that is going to help you to release some kind of stressy tendencies. So yeah, very big restructuring of your daily life. And it can also be like a completion within your work, within something within your job, within your colleagues. Maybe some colleagues are leaving. That is also a possibility, but can also be about the realization about your habits, about your productivity, or a health matter might also ask more of your attention. So yeah, release some kind of power dynamic with co-workers, with patterns of stress and burnout. All of that needs to be healed now or detoxified. You are one of the signs here that needs to put most focus on detoxifying, purging, Scorpio deals with reproductive organs and also bowels, the shedding organs also. So put a little bit more focus on that. Of course, your chart ruler, Mercury, it is still within the 11th house. It's about to jump over into the 12th, a little bit more reflective, a little bit more internal. Your subconscious is processing a lot of information. Take some more time to rest, to unwind. Do not overwork yourself. That is important. Then the new moon will be in Taurus, also in your 12th house. So putting a lot of emphasis on the more spiritual themes. This is a very big spiritual reset. Giving you like time or planting new seeds within like releasing self-sabotaging behavior and healing a lot of emotional and mental burdens. And it's also preparing you for like your upcoming cycle whenever Gemini season fully starts around the 20th to 21st. So this is really very, yeah, more slow internal kind of time for you, this new moon. And the 12th house, do some therapy, journaling, meditation, step back from all the internal external noise so that your internal noise can calm down, and you really need to prioritize rest and your mental health. On the 14th, of course, you're going to have a Mercury Cazimi with your ruler Mercury, and the 12th, very good time to do hypnotherapy, soul retrieval work, something within like the spiritual realms, and you're gonna get messages. Mercury, your chart ruler, in the 12th from beyond. So very positive energy to meditate. Yeah. Bamlo says release self-sabotage unless you really like the Scoffish chair. Yeah, release self-sabotage. It's going to help you to free your mind now that Uranus is in your sign. Very cool energy. Let me know how you're doing with Uranus in your sign. It's definitely very rebellious and waking you up in a totally new way. So good luck with your Gemini. We have Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising. You just had the full moon in Scorpio in your 5th house, which is a very positive house. It's the house of fun, joy, romance, dating, children, leisure time, self-expression, passion projects. All of that falls into the 5th, and it's trining you by sign. It's giving you a supportive aspect because it's in a fellow water sign. This is good for you, my dear Cancer. Of course, this can actually be deeply fulfilling. Or you release something that is deeply fulfilling. Let's hope it's not like this, but it can happen when it makes squares to other planets in your natal chart, but can definitely be putting a very big focus on romantic relationships, on dating, on children. If you want to become pregnant, then you can really get some very positive news here. Yeah, definitely putting a very big spotlight on themes like parenting, or maybe something very big or emotional or positive happens within the life of your children. That is definitely the case here for you. So yeah, also it's about like how you fully show up and want to be seen, and maybe you feel a little bit more exposed or a little bit more vulnerable with this full moon here in the 5th. That is definitely possible. And yeah, the moon is your ruler, so it is a very important time every time you see the full or the new moon. Also, on May the 18th, Venus is going to enter your sign here. So that is going to be so positive. You're being more magnetic. You're feeling more charming. Love can be on the horizon, or you can attract the right people at the right time, or experience a lot of love, and can also be about beautifying your home space, sharing more love at home, cuddling under a blanket, cocooning. It is very beautiful energy. Prepare yourselves for the first week of June, you guys, because the two benefics, Venus and Jupiter, are going to conjunct one another. That is going to be so positive. But it's for my next forecast, but still something to really count down the days for. Yeah, Venus in your sign can be like a glow up kind of energy. People are gonna notice you more, respond to you more, and you are being able to like naturally draw in new opportunities for connections and romance. That is gonna be very beautiful for you. Here you also have the new moon in Taurus, and that will be in your 11th house. So the 11th, of course, deals with your social sphere, your friendships, your networks, your community. It can also be about hopes and dreams and future goals. And this can be a wish fulfillment new moon for you, my dear Cancer. And yeah, this is a time to set new intentions for friendships, for building your own community or join a new one. Perfect for expanding your network. And then 11th house is the house of like-minded people. So your soul tribe. You can attract more people who resonate with you in a deeper kind of way. So this is actually a very beautiful new moon for you. And as soon and 2 days after this new moon, Venus entering your sign, I know it's not your ruler, but it is going to strongly support you, give you and bring you more emotional ease and attraction. And your personal magnetism is just simply highlighted a lot. So good luck, Cancer. We have Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising. You just had the full moon in Cancer in your fourth house. And the fourth, you are also a fixed sign, Leo. So the moon in the fourth house, it is in a very sensitive place. It's actually at home in the fourth house, the moon. It traditionally belongs to Cancer and the fourth house. But it's in Scorpio, another fixed sign. It's a little bit more, it's like it's stinging your emotional landscape a little bit more fully right now. And there can be something emotional going on either within yourself, within your own emotions, with your mother. Something can be completed that you started 6 months ago. If you moved, now you can feel settled. Maybe you're going to move out. Maybe someone moves in. There's just like changes going on within your home life. And it's like directly reflected into your career and vice versa here for you. So this is very private. And all your risings, especially, oh, they are so private. Having Scorpio on the EC or like Scorpio in the fourth house, wow. They are never going to share the back of their tongue. And there's a fixed dynamic here that we're seeing, and especially also with the square to Pluto in the seventh, a little bit more difficult for relationships right now. Be careful if other people try to dominate you or you project that onto other people, then it can be emotionally a little bit more unsettling right now. Still, showing you and pushing you to confront you with what is emotionally real, not what is comfortable. And you need to face the deeper truths about like where you feel safe, seen, and heard, your emotional needs, your sense of belonging. And yeah, of course, the sun is your ruler as a Leo, and it's in the 10th house. It might be having something to do with your career, or maybe something happens in your career and that makes you feel emotionally a little bit more sensitive. That is also a possibility here, but definitely a very strong connection between your chart ruler, the sun, and the 10th house of reputation, social status, being seen, and something that can happen like publicly can make you feel more emotional, or maybe some secrets from within inside the home, the fourth house, can be exposed publicly with the sun and the 10th. So yeah, that is definitely possible here. So good luck, my dear Leo. Yeah, okay, we have the new moon. I am forgetting the new moon. I'm going too fast. Typical Aries style. So the new moon for you, my dear Leo, it's then of course in the 10th house, in the opposite sign. So the 10th house, that is a powerful one here for you, Leo, because your chart ruler, the sun, is conjunct to moon, creating a new seat within the 10th house. And the 10th, as I already mentioned, it's about your career, your public life, and it's a very publicly exposing new moon, and it's planting new seeds for like a professional reset and a new beginning. So set very clear and career intentions. You need to define like your long-term goals. You can even plant a new seed to get a promotion within 6 months of time. And there can also be like a new level of responsibility or even visibility coming in. And this just like follows the Mercury Cazimi in your 10th house. So there's going to be some kind of clarity or important message, maybe from your boss, 10th house, maybe from your father, which belongs in the 10th house, or some kind of authority person that can give you some clarity on where you're heading next. So yeah, if you want to apply for a new job or rebrand yourself, if you're like self-employed, very, very beneficial new energy here. And with the conjunction to Algol, there can be even like breakthrough within your wealth if you're like self-employed, or some of you are gonna start to become more self-employed. Definitely major career growth over the next 6 months. So good luck, Leo. We have Virgo, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So, my dear Virgo, you just had the full moon in Scorpio activating your third house. So, the third house, Scorpio, a bit more intense. It's about communication, about thinking, about contracts, about also learning, studying, your immediate environment, your siblings, your neighbors. So, yeah, there's like a culmination in how you think, speak, process information. It can also be about like emails, phone calls, a lot of business, moving around in your environment or your neighborhood, but definitely intense, important conversations, and by that making new decisions. And there's something being completed here. You might also sign a contract or release a contract, and some important news can be shared to you from siblings or also close connections. And can also be about like traveling or transportation, or technological devices might come up. And if you are a writer, then you can definitely finish a writing or communication project that can definitely come to a completion. Scorpio, it brings so much depth and intensity. It's never casual communication. You can have like some kind of important conversation, and at night you're just like pondering upon what has been said and what you need to do with the new information. And you can even become a little bit obsessed or overthinking, because like overthinking is already like a very like big part of Virgo rising and sun. As a Virgo rising myself, it's like, yeah, being critical, being very analyzing, not being able to release certain like words that were said. Well, this is now actually the culmination of maybe some conversations that took place 6 months ago, and now you're like, okay, I'm ready to release that fully. But then at the same time, there can be a new conversation taking place that then just like replaces the current obsession that you're releasing. That is like a little bit of the paradox of Scorpio also, because having Scorpio on the third house cusp, it is so investigative, it is very psychologic. You can like, some of you are able to read minds, especially if you have like a planet in the third house in Scorpio that then like triggers that energy. It's not always easy to being able to read between the lines and to pick up on what other people are left unsaid, and that is now being majorly spotlighted. So yeah, not always very easy. Take some time to unwind and be careful for like obsessive overthinking, Virgo. It is not feeding you. Or like make sure also to not go doom scrolling on your phone right now with the full moon in the third house of technological devices. If you now look at the new moon for you, my dear Virgo, that will be at the top of the chart, very publicly visible. It's still in the ninth house, but almost fully conjunct the MC, will also have an effect on your career. This is putting you in a spotlight for some kind of reason, or you're planting new seeds to become more known, more visible. And of course, I actually forgot to highlight your ruler Mercury in the eighth house. Yeah, like that is also why I said during the full moon in Scorpio here now. I just rewind my slides. Mercury, your chart ruler, is conjunct Chiron in the eighth house. Chiron is a wounded healer. Mercury is again conversations. It traditionally belongs to the third house. Eighth house is very deep. There is like an intertwinement here, because normally Scorpio belongs to the eighth house and normally Mercury belongs to the third house, and they are vice versa. There is some kind of mutual reception going on here. Very deep, like healing wounds through conversations, or wounds getting re-triggered through conversations. The eighth house is also very financial. Maybe you're gonna sign a new financial contract, or financial contract is being released and purged here. Then the new moon conjunct the MC there. Oh, that is so cool, Cloyo. Thank you, Cloyo, for like giving me some confirmations in the chat. You're hitting on everything I'm doing right now, Astrid. Yeah, it's like so funny. It's like clockwork, eh? It's unbelievable. I'm still also very fascinated by how it just like is always right on time. So the new moon at the top of the chart, very different energy. It is actually also conjunct your ruler Mercury, and there was just a Mercury Kazemi. So yeah, these are like very important for Virgo. There is like expansion in the ninth, sudden change. By that, there can be a decisive shift within your career. Yeah, Mercury traveling through the ninth for the entire time, that activates like beliefs and traveling and publishing and teaching. And then the new moon just adds another layer to that. There can be sudden changes within your job by like new insights or new things that you're studying, or like your philosophy that changes, or like some kind of new truth that you are implementing. And there can be a need to like pivot within a professional's kind of sense, or you're planting a seed to get a new career. And yeah, the new moon in the ninth house, it is the house of expansion and growing within your belief systems. So you can set intentions or plant seeds for like traveling, or maybe even relocation, or committing to a new study, learning something new, changing something within your philosophy. And yeah, a very big shift within your mindset or belief system. And it's about like growth and new possibilities. So yeah, thank you, Valerie. Really resonating for the Virgo sun in my life. Oh my God, Claudio is illustrating a children's book, and you're publishing it. Like, wow, this is so cool. Like, you guys are having such a strong intuition by being so aligned with your chart as well. That is just so cool for me to read that. And hi, Vicky. Yes, it's almost your turn, Vicky. All right. So yeah, plan a trip, enroll in a course, write, study something, and just know that on the 14th of May, you're going to have a Mercury Kazemi, and your whole belief system is going to shift by some kind of new piece of information. So good luck, Virgo. We have Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising. You're going to have, or you just had the full moon in Scorpio in your second house. So the second, like, it's so cool, Libra, your chart, it's like reversed, because normally the second house is Taurus, and normally the eighth house is Scorpio, but yours is reversed, and it's like strongly intertwined. And it's like always very fascinating for me to read the Libra chart. So Ashley, hi Ashley. Ashley says, yay, Libra. I woke up and entered out of my bed with the wrong leg. It's like a literal translation. It's like a saying in Dutch that Ashley is not in a good mood. And it's actually like, Ashley is like, she's the number one in like throwing these one-liners during the chat. So Ashley, I'm so happy to see you. It's always a treat, right, Stain? He's already laughing in the chat because we already know what's gonna come now. All right, Libra. Um, Full moon in the second house, you're going to experience a very big financial situation, and that might reach some kind of peak or resolution, or maybe you're going to have a big bill. That can happen. Maybe it's already happened. Maybe it's going to come in the next 2 weeks. There's like an increased kind of spending, or a bigger awareness around expenses. You might also have realizations or revelations, full moon, about your worth, how much you're pricing yourself, your skills and talents. You can make decisions around your income, investments, resources, and of course, it makes it even more interesting for you, Libra, because this full moon in Scorpio, it is ruled over by Mars, also Pluto, but we're going to look at Mars. And Mars is in your 7th house. So it's like partnerships are having a very big, like, they're having a very big emphasis on how you spend or certain costs that you need to make now. Maybe some partner is costing you money. Like, that is very possible here in the chart, Libra. Or you can fight with your partner about certain expenses or how you make your income. That is also very possible here. Or maybe, yeah, you just need to simply spend money on a partner. It's like depending on your own chart, but you can also have like, because the 7th house, it can also deals with your clients and your marketplace and your one-on-one sessions. Maybe you can have a discussion on how much your prices are with the client. That is also a possibility. Or the 7th house, it deals with one-on-one relationships, but you might also invest in a coach and therapy and collaboration and some kind of spokesperson that needs to fix certain investments or debts in regards to like financial situations. It is also very possible. And you're also like strongly realizing how certain relationships impact your financial stability. And you might change something within that. So, of course, your chart ruler is within the 9th, Venus there in Gemini. And there can be joy through travel, learning, exploration. And there can be new opportunities that are going to expand your world view. So, on May 18th, Venus is going to enter Cancer in your 10th house. Can be very positive for your career and your public life. And you are going to become more publicly visible. Your boss might have some good news. Maybe you're going to have a raise. That is also possible with the full moon in Scorpio and Venus entering in your 10th. About to conjunct Jupiter here in the first week of June. Yeah, a lot of you guys are going to have a raise. And yeah, let your charm, yeah, let it out. It's going to help you and it's going to bring you some kind of advantage. It can also be about love and career that might intertwine. So a lot of, yeah, very important energy for you. The new moon that will take place in Taurus will be yet again in a financial house in the 8th. And by that time, Venus will be conjunct the MC. So definitely, I see like some kind of positive financial news for you guys. You either get rid of a debt by the full moon in Scorpio, and then like with the new moon in Scorpio, you're like beginning in a blank slate, or something changes within your mortgage, or it's just like something financially changing here very strongly for you this month. And of course, the 8th house, that is about shared resources, intimacy, transformation, emotional depth, and very big focus on like trust and opening up and soul merging, and maybe even like, yeah, taxes can also be a part here in the 8th house. But yeah, set new intentions around money. And yeah, by that, you're also going to heal patterns around trust and control and all of that. So that is actually very, yeah, possible. Be careful. Mars is about to enter into your 8th house. So that makes it even more like financial matters become even more active. And emotional and physical intimacy can also really deepen here. And you're going to transform something important. So make sure that it's a positive transformation if you have any say in it at all. So good luck, my dear Libra. Thank you so much, Arno. 222. Astrid, you're going hard today. Yes. Yeah, I just like really enjoy doing these forecasts, honestly. And hi, Judith. Thank you for joining. All right, Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Of course, Scorpios. You're one of the big stars of today's show. And of course, having a full moon in your sign, wow, that is very profound. This is like one of the two most important periods within the entire year, my dear Scorpio. So this one is activating your first house of identity, your body, your self-image, your personal direction. So this is like a once in a year time of illumination and culmination. It really carries extra weight here for your Scorpio. So if we have some Scorpios in the chat, let me know how you're doing with your own energy. I have some Scorpios around me, and yeah, some of them were thriving massively, and others were like almost biting holes in the walls, or like chewing holes in the walls, or I do not know how you say it in English, but there's like, yeah, you guys are really all or nothing. So I really saw that playing out around me. Of course, hey, Eva. Eva is a Scorpio rising. Very, very cool. I love Scorpios. Like, if you have one of your big trees in Scorpios, that is always like a match upon first sight. Of course, Scorpio, the moon in your sign, you're gonna feel a little bit more exposed, a little bit more vulnerable, a little bit more reactive. All of the things that you do not really like, that you usually keep a little bit more private. Yeah, you're just simply more exposed than usual. And look, we have another Scorpio rising. And Monica says my sun is exactly opposite Chiron. Oh, that's a bit more difficult, Monica. Yeah, integrating the solar, like your solar energy, your light of life, the life force is being triggered by Chiron a lot of the time, so that is a little bit more difficult to integrate. But Scorpio, your full moon in your sign with the sun opposing from the seventh, it's the house of relationships. There is a very big moment of recalibration between yourself and the other person. Where are you compromising too much? What do you need from a partner versus what are you giving to them? And does the relationship still reflect like your current identity with the full moon coming to a head in your sign? So the deeper focus is actually on your own transformation, but with that it can bring naturally also like a turning point within your relationships. So Scorpio is ruled by Mars and also Pluto, but Mars is in your sixth house. You like the full moon is connected to the sixth, so your reinvention is connected to your physical health, your daily habits, your work routines, and something might shift in that, of course. If you then look, of course, your other ruler is within the fourth house. So this full moon in Scorpio is squaring Pluto in your fourth house. Something might be changing within your family or who lives within inside of your home. Maybe there are some family secrets being exposed, and that might be a little bit more difficult. This is a bit more intense, squaring the ruler. So the new moon for you, Scorpio, will be in your opposing sign, also very important within the seventh house. That is really planting a lot of seeds within your house of relationships. This is like a relationship reset point of your year. So what do you want to build with others, and how do you want to move forward? And this can really be the start of a new relationship or a redefining or renewing one or setting clear boundaries. Can also bring like a new business or partnership, business partnership, new clients, something new within your market space. Definitely possible here. And Venus moving through the eighth, also very financial. You guys, Mars, your ruler, is about to jump into the seventh house, and it's like conjunct Chiron on the descendant. A lot of you guys are gonna have some kind of frustration with partners coming up. Be careful of the stinger, but also partnerships with Mars in the not the seventh. Excuse me, but Mars in the seventh partnerships, they can really project their anger onto you as well, and maybe be a little bit more careful. When Mars is in the seventh, there can be cutting, severing ties with certain partnerships, and Mars rules over the sixth house. Maybe you're going to realize how partnerships are actually, or like toxic partnerships, which effect they have on your mental and physical health, and how that's actually leaving you feeling burned out. Maybe you're not going to have another choice anymore than to choose yourself. That is definitely, a possibility here. So good luck, my dear Scorpio. We have Sagittarius sun moon or rising. So, of course, you had the full moon in Scorpio just lighting up your 12th house. That is a little bit more internal, my dear Sag. It is about taking more rest, unwinding, detaching, focusing on internal processes. Your subconscious is getting pretty loud, my dear Sag. And of course, the 12th house is also the house of spirituality. Having Scorpio on the 12th house cusp makes you guys extremely psychic. And you probably had some kind of crazy synchronicity or some crazy revelation or truth or message from your ancestors or your spirit guides. Definitely take more time for meditation. The 12th house can also be the house of endings. And it's about subconscious patterns, healing, release. This is like your spiritual cleanup moment. 12th house can be about what you suppress with Scorpio, what you avoid, what you are being scared of yourself, or what is like being a blind spot, what needs to be released. And definitely a very big emotional realization in some kind of way. Loud dreams, intuitive downloads, and a lot of awareness is being like kicked into your face of all the unhealthy patterns that you take part in. So yeah, can be a little bit more difficult. Yeah, I don't know. Thank you for saying that. Third eye activation everywhere in my field, and must meditate to cleanse and repeat. Beautiful. Barno, mic drop. That is like the full moon in the 12th house in a nutshell. So thank you. And yeah, Macmillan says, been some hyper realistic dreams. Honestly, I gotta say, the last few dreams I had, like especially this night, I dreamt that there was like a very old castle and I needed to reach to the top of the castle, but it was so ancient, it was so old, and it was at the brinks of collapse. But at the top of the castle, there was a very big dragon. And I was like trying to reach the dragon. It's like the very first time I really dreamt about the dragon, but there were like cameras and sensors with like laser technology surrounding and circling the castle wall, and I just like couldn't get over it. And the dragon just started to unleash a lot of its fire, and by that I was like guarded from the cameras and laser technology, and I could just like run through the fire and not being detected by all the cameras. And I woke up and I was like, whoa, this was like such an intense dream. And yeah, we know dragons were real, but like I've never had a dream about a dragon. And I'm like, oh wow, this is really like the full moon in Scorpio. And I know there's like a lot in the dream interpretation, but I felt like so badass that I could walk or run through the fire of the dragon, maybe because I'm like a fire sign. So yeah, this is like special dreams, paranormal dreams. Yeah, really giving you a lot of clarity. Yeah, I don't know, a golden dragon on my right side. That is very beautiful. So yeah. Yeah, crying and releasing and all of that is all part of Scorpio, Vicky. It's always very apparent with the full moon, but this is an extra level or dosage of intensity. So yeah, consider it normal and just release all of it. It's okay, you do not need it anymore. But like the 12th house, it rules over your sleep and dreams and your sleeping patterns, and that could definitely feel a little bit more intense right now. So yeah, ask like your guides and meditate and ask for help and let go of all the emotional exhaustion, release all of the hidden stress that you are maybe unaware of yourself. Now you became more aware of it. So now you can prioritize healing by getting stronger into touch with what needs to heal, actually. If you then look at the new moon for you, my dear Sag, that of course happens within your 6th house. So you are the sign, my dear Sag, that needs to balance out mental and physical health, the 12th and the 6th house. So if you now purge a lot of these subconscious patterns, you can then plant new seeds within your physical health. Whatever you release is going to have a positive effect on your physical health and well-being. So the 6th is also the house of work and stress and routine and daily life. And yeah, John, stress kills. Exactly. And now for Sagittarius, with the new moon in the 6th, they can plant new seeds by now becoming aware of what needs to be released and what is actually toxic and how they self-sabotage with the full moon in Scorpio on the 12th. So now they can make healthier choices. So yes, release the grief. Can be very much about releasing grief. The 12th house is about grief and loss, and sometimes feeling a little bit alone and isolated. That is possible. But whenever we cry, we actually, our tears are the biggest medicine. Tears reduce cortisol. It's very welcome, but our society learns us not to cry because it's like not tough and not cool. And yeah, it's like the coolest thing, being able to cry and release and reduce the cortisol. It's the whole key here. So, new moon in the sixth, creating better routines, improving your health, organizing your life, resetting a lot of your work habits. After then, also the Mercury Kazimi, you can have a lot of like important news from colleagues. Or if you want to apply for a new job, then you can also have some very positive news in that, my dear Sag. So by that, then also, if you get hired by someone new, or if you have a new job, be careful. Mars is about to enter into the sixth house, and Mars in the sixth house can give like issues with inflammation, overwork, burnout. Be careful also when you go working out in the gym or something like that. Mars in the sixth, it can be about a lot of energy and getting a lot of tackling of tasks, but be careful of not getting like or hitting a burnout of too much stress. If you get a headache, if you get a sore throat, then that's going to be a wake up call. So yeah, yeah, tears are definitely good. It's very cool that you guys are so like in touch with your feminine side as well. It is actually way more attractive than we are being taught by society. And that also means that you can hold space for yourself. And by that, you're also signaling towards a female that you will be able to hold space for her as well. It's actually not so difficult, all of the dynamics, but yeah, that is really being like coming into touch with that. All right, Sag. Apart from that, Jupiter is in your eighth house, still doing a good job. Next month in June, Jupiter will come out of past shadow. So it will then cross over the 25th degree. And then it will be like full force ahead into Jupiter, your chart ruler, moving into Leo, trining your sun, moon, or rising. Oh my God, that is going to be one hell of a party. So enjoy, Sag. You have Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising. All right, my dear Capricorn, you're having a full moon in Scorpio in your 11th house. That happened on the 1st of May. And of course, the 11th house, that is about your friendships, your social networks, your social sphere, future goals, connections within your community, online presence. All of that is activated, and there's some kind of big release or culmination within the 11th house. So there might be an unexpected end with a toxic dynamic with a friendship. That is very possible. Maybe something has been happening behind the scenes. Now it reached the point of clarity and truth, and now we see release within all of the themes that I've mentioned. So, yeah, group dynamics, friendships, long term aspirations, goals, wishes. But because it's a full moon, it could look like you're stepping away from a social circle. Maybe you are releasing some kind of role within a group environment. Can also be like within your work group of like colleagues. That is also possible here. So maybe you need to examine who is like truly aligned with your future. Yeah, look who is worthy of walking beside you. The 11th house is about soul tribe, like minded people. And this one really operates within a deeper level. And you need to release attachment to like all the outdated roles, expectations, connections that actually no longer fit who you're becoming right now. So realize about like where you've been overgiving your time and energy to the wrong people, and maybe you've been maintaining connections out of obligation rather than genuine alignment, and that can now become clear. Now, whatever you release from the 11th house of friendships will be replaced by someone better aligned. Yeah, and it's also like I can see the ruler of this moon actually in your fourth house. Maybe some of you are having some frustration going on inside of the home, and maybe you're saying like, okay, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go to all the gatherings, to like a lot of my friendships, to get some distraction from what's going on inside of my home. And then you only find like, maybe I do not feel fully heard or seen, or maybe there are also toxic dynamics going on within my groups of friends as well, and it can feel like wherever I go right now there's a little bit of tension. That is possible, definitely with Mars squaring your sun, moon, or rising. So um try to find a way at home where you can release your physical frustration. And finding realm, says Capricorn here. I hear you, Astrid. Well, thank you, finding realm, for mentioning that. Can be a little bit frustrative. Mars in the fourth can also be about like conflicts within the family, or you feeling like you're hitting a wall in some kind of way, especially around the 20th of April with Mars on Saturn. That could have been like a little bit more of a difficult moment in time. And of course, Saturn is your chart ruler. It's within the fourth house and it's squaring the sign of Capricorn. So it's really about like taking on more responsibility around the home. But with Mars, it might be like, this is a lot. And it's squaring Jupiter in the seventh. The seventh house is actually your partner or your marriage or very close one-on-one relationships. And with Mars in the fourth, your emotional landscape at the bottom of your chart, so sensitive, making an adverse aspect to the seventh house of relationships, and a full moon in Scorpio in your 11th of friendships. It can feel like, this is all a lot combined right now, and it can feel like there's not a lot of inner peace with Mars in the fourth house. And then your relationship and your friendships are a little bit affected by it as well. So it could feel a little bit stormy, honestly. And yes, finding realm, I've been doing tons of self-care. Yes, self-care is massively important right now. Uranus just shifted. Uranus just shifted into the sixth. Oh wow, this is like a tongue breaker, you guys. Uranus in the sixth can be a little bit more, yeah, creating havoc on your nervous system. Take very good care. Yeah, Arnold says tension is felt and is already released at home. Authenticity is key. Yeah, speak your mind, but be careful not to ruffle too many feathers right now. So, Capricorn, the new moon for you is actually happening in your fifth house. That is going to be way more pleasant for you guys. It's going to be way easier to deal the full moon that you just had. Because the fifth house is creativity, joy, romance, self-expression, and yeah, the full moon in Scorpio was actually asking you to release and let go of all the misalignments in your social dynamics. And the new moon here is actually putting a focus on like planting seeds to rebuild joy and passion and look at your own personal expression and be more authentically yourself. And this is really about like reconnecting with what makes you feel alive, allowing yourself to pleasure, to experience a lot of pleasure and do that without guilt, and yeah, opening up yourself again to more creativity and more romance. And yeah, that is beautiful, John, because I know, John, you are a Capricorn, right? So yeah, I will give unconditional love and gratitude when it is returned. That is so typically Scorpio rising, John. What you're saying, you're actually making me smile. All right, so also the new moon in Capricorn, the new moon in the fifth house in Taurus for Capricorn. Yeah, there will be some kind of fun or like a new hobby. You can get more clarity around the Mercury Cazimi a couple of days before the new moon. You can, yeah, be having clarity on what truly brings you happiness, and maybe you're gonna gain more insight where you have been holding yourself back, what kind of experiences that you want to create moving forward. This is not about like fleeting fun. It's about building something that lasts, something that makes you joy, a new hobby, or maybe a hobby from the past that returns. And of course, um, yeah, it makes a 45-degree aspect to Saturn in the fourth. Maybe you're gonna need to balance your responsibilities at home with your new source of fun. And maybe you're not gonna be able to go all the way because still you need to be at home to take on your responsibility. But still, tap into your creative juices, and like you're gonna feel inspired in some kind of way or get some inspiring message. That is definitely here in the cards for you. Good luck, Capricorn. We have Aquarius and Moon rising. So, my dear Aquarius, let me know how it's going inside, or like within your career. What's happening? Are you wrapping something up? Are you getting a promotion? Are you feeling like you need to let go of a certain desire, Scorpio, in regards to your career, the 10th house? Yeah, the 10th is really about public image, reputation, direction, career, self-employment, your father, your boss, all of that belongs into the 10th. So yeah, this is a big one with the Scorpio full moon here. Definitely squaring the ruler Pluto within inside of your sign, my dear Aquarius. So this is like an intense emotional revelation, identity reset. Maybe you need to let go of control, and that can be a little bit more difficult or hard for you to do. And definitely it brings a major professional culmination in some kind of way. So Stain says not much move yet on a professional level. Yeah, Stain, it's definitely gonna come. But you are a Cancer rising, so Saturn and Mars just made a conjunction in your 10th house, Stain. That is definitely why you feel kind of blocked right now. But also that will go into a better direction. So wow, a lot of Aquarius people are commenting here in the chat. So yeah, let it go, let it go. We need to release control during the full moon, and I know that is a little bit more difficult, especially when you want something so bad, or if you're like really excelling at something, or you're so good at it. But definitely, the themes here that are getting triggered are your social status, your long-term ambitions, your career path. All of that is coming to a head, and definitely you can be making a career move, receiving recognition, complete a major project. Maybe you're going to realize that the current direction is actually no longer aligned with where you're going, and sometimes it becomes very visible either to you, maybe to others, that all the shifts that you're making are actually giving you a better understanding of where you are going. So on a deeper level, because it's in Scorpio, it can also confront you with your relationship to success, control, and visibility. And with the third house, like with the ruler Mars in your third house of Aries, the changes within your career are definitely tied to communication. So some of you are gonna have a very important message, third house, about your career. Announcements, conversations about work, meetings, decisions, your words, what you decide, what you say can shape your career direction right now. And with Pluto in your sign, wow, this is deeply personal, very deeply, deeply personal. So for the new moon, for Aquarius, of course, your ruler also just jumped signs, you guys. Uranus is in the fifth house. This is like incredible news. It's now within a fellow air sign. It's trining you by sign. It's in the house of fun. This is gonna be so much better for you guys, and I'm actually glad to say this to you because you have been going through this intense square for the last 7.5 up to 8 years. That created a lot of instability within inside of the home, and I think a lot of you guys had to move multiple times. So that is now in the past, which is gonna be very welcome for a lot of Aquarius people. So yeah, the new moon will be in Taurus in your fourth house. That is putting a lot of emphasis on home, family, emotional foundations, and inner security. So this is like the first new moon without Uranus also in the same house. There is something changing within inside of the home in a positive kind of way, and it's creating some kind of sense of emotional stability, or it's planting seeds for that will blossom within 6 months of time. It's also about like setting intentions about your home and your living situation. It's about also reconnecting with your inner world and what makes you feel safe, secure. It's like triggering your sense of safety, and maybe something needs to be changed. Or you can have an important message from your mom or someone from within your family. So definitely with the Mercury Casimi here a couple of days around this new moon. Where do you want to live? What environment do you need now? Now that the destabilizing aspect is out of the fourth house, maybe you're coming to a realization of how and what you want to like change. And this is the perfect fertile Taurian ground to plant new seeds for a way more secure and grounding home base. Also look at how your environment really impacts your emotional well-being. And yeah, you need to build something that is stable and is lasting. And now you're going to be able to do that with Uranus out of the fourth and in the fifth, which is so much more beneficial. Oh, thank you so much, John, for sharing this very beautiful comment. Yes, also a message. Also a message from the Coco Show. Time for a well-deserved break. Take care. Thank you. Oh, that is so so sweet. Thank you. All right. So, dear Aquarius, I wish you a lot of good luck. We have Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So the full moon in Scorpio just took place in your ninth house, and it's very beneficial energy because it makes a fellow, like it makes a trine, and it's in a fellow water sign. So very beautiful trining, flowing energy to your Sun, Moon, or Rising. So very good energy. Although they are a little bit more intense, but Pisces, you know what's up. You feel so much, and you can handle that sensitivity or the depth from Scorpio. And the ninth is definitely about travel and belief systems, education, higher perspective. It's not surface level, you guys. This is like brings a culmination in growth, and some kind of truth is being highlighted. It's something that you've been learning or exploring is now like reaching a turning point. Maybe you have been traveling, maybe you want to relocate to another country, maybe you have been getting a certification for a course or some kind of education. Can also be about something that shifts within your personal spiritual beliefs and your philosophy as well. All of that is coming to a culmination and a peak right now. Some of you are going to be returning from a trip, and it's definitely putting a spotlight on releasing a lot of outdated beliefs. Look at your perspectives, all the narratives that you've inherited. Maybe some of that really needs to be purged right now. It's about your truth and your future and your purpose and your direction in life, and something is being revealed here. And of course, Mars is the ruler of this full moon. It's in your second house of money and self worth. So the transformation on how you think, your belief systems from the ninth, is directly connected to how you value yourself and your self worth, and also what you prioritize on a financial level. And what do you actually believe in, like what is truly worth investing in? So, oh, we have a lot of Pisces here in the chat. That is so cool. Thank you so much, Kel DB. Thank you, Astrid. You put so much energy into these readings. You are appreciated so much. Thank you, guys, for being so sweet in the chat. Um, Macmillan says, I got that Pisces moon. I still want the refund. Well, actually, Mac, that is so funny because I have a whole stellium in Pisces. My Venus, Moon, Saturn, Mercury, and Vertex are all within Pisces. And like my mom, they like, how do you say it in English? Normally, it was not my time to be born just yet, but they like gave her, they started the labor because she was not holding water inside of anymore. I wasn't able to feed anymore. I probably, with my Aries fire, burned it all up inside. But I am still so mad until this day at the doctors who were like, yeah, reenacting, or like they were like, yeah, how do we say it in English? Damn, the language barrier sometimes is a little bit difficult, but yeah, it was not my time yet. And I know it astrologically. I'm like, Mom, there's a reason why I didn't want to come out. And that is because I knew a Pisces stellium is like so much to deal with. So yeah, Mac, you're making me laugh so hard because I just had that conversation, and like they really had to like oh my god, it was such a difficult birth as well. And like I now know, like, and my mom knows it as well, why I didn't want to be born in just yet. Yes, exactly. I turned her water into steam, and yes, it was an induced labor. Like, it was not my time yet, guys. 5 things in Pisces, dear Lord, oh my God, that is just too much. So yeah, Macmillan, I really understand you in like such a profound way. Um, Cloyo says, I have North Node in Pisces and I was born 6 weeks early. Were you induced? Yes, I was induced, and I had to just be there for another couple of days until at least the Mercury and the Moon should have moved out of Pisces. But yeah, I wasn't that lucky. And like, I went to a psychic medium, and she said, like, well, you shouldn't been born. You should have been an April Aries, and you're in March Aries, and they say from like the other realms that that is not correct. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, I was gonna swear here with my Aries sun, but I could have like hold it in. So, all right, Pisces. Like, I'm not backstabbing you. I am not saying that it's all bad. No, I'm just saying I'm actually confirming you and your emotions, because Pisces is so sensitive. It feels everything. It absorbs other people's emotions. It's like a sponge, and they can read minds, and they just like they have a psychic sense that is so difficult to explain, but also yet again being very psychically sensitive and being absolutely delusional and living inside of an illusion and in la la land. Again, a very thin line here. So yeah, uh, yeah, it's like unbelievably ethereal and mystical, and yes, very profound and very sensitive. But Pisces, dear Lord, it is a lot to deal with. I feel like people with a lot of Pisces placements, it is very difficult to operate here within this slavery 9 to 5 matrix system. We're simply not born to operate within that. It's like almost impossible. So yeah, I hope it explains. Yeah, it explains so much. Well, I'm glad. I am not too proud to admit all of that, because I've learned how to deal with it, and I've now been able to turn it into more of a strength than a curse. But it takes some time until you're able to do that. So yeah, and I really love Pisces. They're so calm, they're quiet, they're like internal, reflective, they're very caring and sensitive and emotional. But yeah, being overly emotional has been one of the things that I really needed to, yeah, work on. So yeah, Pisces. All right. With that being said, I just did a little rant. Excuse me, my dear Pisces, but having a full moon in the ninth, that is like asking you to align your beliefs with your values. It's about moving forward with clarity and purpose, and like some kind of new emotional truth that is giving you like a missing piece of the puzzle. And it's squaring Pluto in your 12th. There's some kind of unconscious thing being re-triggered, and now you're gaining more insight about what is repressed and buried. And with this new information, sun in the third, there's like a missing piece of information that solves the puzzle, and now you can purge some kind of pattern. So if you then look at the new moon, which is actually in Taurus in your third house, that is definitely also about the third is actually communication, learning, mindset, daily environment. And yeah, it is a very important mentally and communicative new moon. And this is like a reset. And it's about planting seeds. And yeah, it really asks you to also release outdated beliefs now in the ninth. And then the new moon is giving you like the power to rebuild something within your thinking patterns and within how you communicate on a daily basis and how you express yourself, and also like a new start within the bonds with your siblings and your neighbors and while you're on the road, guys, with Mercury also in the third house and with it being conjunct to alcohol, be a little bit more mindful on the road. If you feel like your mind is overwhelmed, might be best to take slow down. Luckily, it's Taurus on that sign, but Mars is about to ingress into the third house. You're gonna feel like you're gonna need to speed. You're gonna feel like you want to go somewhere really, really quick, and you're gonna feel refrained, and you're going to be spinning in circles, maybe on the road, but also in your own thought process. With Algol there also conjunct in the mix, give yourself ample of time to really process the information and set new intentions around communicating and learning, taking a study, thinking, speaking, your daily routines, and all of that. And with the Mercury Kazimi, the Mercury Kazimi is going to happen around the 14th. So it's going to bring like some kind of information, and you're going to like intuitively know what to say or which course you need to take to learn something new, or how you need to communicate a certain difficult topic and how you need to move forward after that. So yeah, this is a very big mindset shift, and it's way more about mental processes for you this month, my dear Pisces. So yeah, can also be about organizing like a new schedule that benefits you most. But there can be a lot of phone calls, emails with Mercury through the third house, so be sure to take enough time to unwind as well. All right. Yeah, good luck, my dear Pisces. So Vicky says my youngest son is Pisces. Yeah. And Jetpack Jones says my stepson is a Pisces and can't seem to differentiate between reality and dark imagination, and tells people the imagined darkness is real. It's like perpetual trauma. Yeah, Jetpack Jones, that pretty much sums it up, because the unbalanced way of Pisces, like the unhealthy manifestation, is really like lies and deceptions and being stuck in your own la la land. And it can be really about, I know some Pisces who struggle a lot with substance abuse, or who are drug addicts or taking a lot of alcohol. And it's so weird, because when it's like Pisces wants to tap into another realm. But you can do that by meditating, but you can also do that by escaping in like more negative means. And whenever they then drink alcohol or use a lot of drugs, they are so within this other kind of mindset that whatever they are doing or saying or whatever they are imagining, they really believe that it's truth. And that is sometimes the scary part. I know a lot of Pisces who are also very psychic and very sensitive, and who can really predict the future. Definitely, if you have your Black Moon Lilith and Pisces. But it's like there is a thin line, and it can get really, really dark in a Pisces mind, and especially for the last 3 years with Neptune, but also especially Saturn in Pisces, that was really, really difficult for a lot of Pisces. But I love the fact that they are so intuitively and so aware and so compassionate and so spiritual, and like they would cuddle a little fly, you know what I mean? They would not hurt a single fly. They would like, they're very caring and very soft and gentle and compassionate, but they need to be so careful about who they surround themselves with, because they are the sign that is able to absorb so much of other people's energies. So Colette says, I have my Mars in Pisces. That's not an easy placement. And planets in the 12th house, and that's as you described, and can be difficult. Exactly, Colette. It's not easy. Grounding, spiritual practices, honesty, no substances. Like I have a Pisces stellium. I never drink. And some people then ask me, like, wow, Astrid, you do not drink. Is it because you have a problem with alcohol? And I'm like, no, I have a problem with who I become when I drink alcohol. That is something very different. I do not have a problem with alcohol. I just do not like it. And I do not like other people, and also not myself, who I become when I drink. That is just simply that I do not enjoy. I really I enjoy grounding, and yeah, tapping into, like, when you have a lot of Pisces planets, you just need to put extra focus on grounding. Otherwise, pooh, you're away. And like disassociation is also part of that, wanting to escape because things are too harsh, too difficult. Luckily, Neptune is out of Pisces, Saturn is out of Pisces. You Pisces are really gonna start to notice the shift. Okay. Yeah, he tells so many lies that it doesn't seem like he can tell their lies anymore. That is the freaky part, Jetpack Jones, because they're really convinced and that is the truth. And that has been maybe their truth, but it's definitely not the truth. And that is where things get really, really complicated. And Max says, my ex Pisces son was like that. Yeah, like Pisces, they really need to work on ascension and on the positive qualities, but like a balanced Pisces, that is actually the medicine for the world. That is what the world needs so much. And you guys, the North Node is in Pisces. So we all collectively are being pushed toward oneness and compassion and caring for one another and unconditional love and the fairy tale and the happy ever after. It is possible, but we need to do that within a grounded way, because Pisces, it can get so lost within the supernatural and within the intercollective kind of themes. But Pisces and all of us now together with the North Node in Pisces, it's only when we get like our ducks in a row within the 3D kind of Taurus reality, or Virgo kind of reality, that we then can really fully blossom and open up within the spiritual realms as well. And I also know, with like Neptune and Pisces for such a long time, a lot of people are talking about, yeah, like I'm channeling this and I'm channeling that. But there is so much that we cannot know, or that we do not fully understand yet about these other realms and other dimensions, that we need to be very, very careful who we are channeling. And that is sometimes where the difficulty is. Yeah, there can be synchronicities, and yes, there can be beautiful messages, and there can be channelings, but sometimes where do they come from? And I think that is something with Uranus and Gemini, a very big upgrade within our brain chemistry right now, that we're gonna gain better understanding about like these quantum entanglements and these other realities and alternative universes and all of that. You need to be very well versed or experienced to be able to go like fully into those realms, because a lot of people are actually being possessed while claiming to be these big channelers. And that is also something that you see with amongst a lot of influencers right now. And I'm also always very, very careful to protect my space and to not blindly believe what someone else says about their so-called channeling, because where are they tapping in from? What are they channeling? Discernment is so necessary, and that is where I'm getting actually lucky with the time I was born, because I'm a Virgo rising, so I can actually kind of bridge the gap between all of the Pisces confusion sometimes, and then still leaning into my Virgo rising sign. Discernment is very, very important. So yeah, love and light. Yes, Garlic Goddess. My son is a Pisces. He is my favorite person ever. He is always on a journey. Oh, that's so beautiful. Yes, they can. They really are the sign that is able to tap into other, yeah, realms. So, um, Heard tsunami warnings from Janine's home area. Any updates? I do not know. And actually, all of the planets already crossed over Neptune. Neptune is a planet that deals with tsunamis, and also Pisces, where we have been talking about. But I do not see a heavy emphasis on tsunamis or on, yeah, no, not really in the chart. I'm just quickly thinking. Uranus is also off of its critical 29 degree. I would be surprised, but if Janine saw that in her cards, then that could be very well in the next couple of weeks, of course. So, um, yeah, that is a very difficult question, Jetpack Jones. Do you have any suggestions on how to help him navigate his spicy shadow in a healthy way and help him learn how much better it feels to be honest? That is a difficult question, Jetpack Jones, because first of all, if he's really so deep within the Pisces shadow, then it can be very difficult for him to even differentiate between what's real and what's not. But he's clearly disassociating. So the best thing that will be for him is actually to let him do TRE, trauma release exercises. That is going to help him ground back in the body. And it's only when he's going to be grounded back into the body that he's going to have the ability to tap into the notion of what it feels like to be honest. Without him being fully grounded within the body, with him still being able to disassociate, that is not then gonna do anything. So the best thing is to like bring him back salt baths, energy cleansings, trauma release exercises, unfreezing the stored parts of the trauma. That is the only thing, but it's a long process, honestly. Uh, yes, chocolate is my vice, not drugs or alcohol. That is a mic drop, Jill Kindle. Yes, chocolate. Oh my god. My boyfriend bought some chocolate this afternoon, and I cannot wait to eat it. Yes, Stain, I can't bear alcohol anymore. No, me neither. Like, yeah, I think if your vibration is kind of like I feel it when I were to drink like a half a glass of champagne on New Year's Day to not be the boring one in the family. I used to do that a couple of years ago because then they were still able to shame me. That is over now, but you feel like your vibration is like dropping immensely. This honestly. Yeah, never believe it. Someone never argue with someone who believes their own lies. Yeah, I know, but sometimes it takes a while before you realize that they do believe their own lies. That is sometimes a little bit the mind fuck. So, so glad, Carrie. No one knows me better than me. I channel my highest self. That is so beautiful. And if you are a Pisces, you're definitely being able to do that. Um, all right. Yes, trauma release exercises. That is gonna really help. So thank you guys all so much. There was a big volcanic explosion in Indonesia today, I think, or in that area. Yeah, well, I actually predicted the Indonesia volcanic explosion for April, but yeah, still we're only the 3rd of May. And Uranus, it hasn't been in Gemini for quite some time, so it can still definitely be about the aftermath of the shift of Uranus. That is still very much up in the air, but I actually didn't know about the volcanic explosion in Indonesia. But I was actually kind of surprised or a little bit like, yeah, we haven't seen any big event with Uranus at 29 degrees. So yeah, I'm not surprised to read that, honestly. So yeah, that is definitely still connected to Uranus. Vicky says, I am so glad you said that about channeling. I thought I was channeling a certain person last night. I asked for a sign and you just gave it to me. That was not who I thought it was. Yeah, sometimes the more negative entities who are also here being able to give you things through channeling, they can like really, really cloak them in a kind of way that can sometimes be very difficult to differentiate. Oh, this is beautiful, Tim Adams. Breathing and grounded with Mother Gaia. I live in the woods in a camper van. I'm very old soul. Oh, that is so beautiful. Living in a camper van is really cool. Um, Thank you, Clojo. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna leave it at that, you guys. All right. Thank you guys all so much for being with me here today. Of course, I will be back for my weekly show on Tuesdays. That is always around noon. And yeah, I just had a very good time with you guys today. Thank you for all the conversations and also confirmations in the chat and for being so talkative with Venus in Gemini. I really enjoy today's forecast, and also that is going to be way calmer than the month of April. That was such a big firecracker, and that is definitely going to start to calm down now a little bit until we then are going to hit the next eclipse season, which is already going to be palpable in July. In July, we're going to have such a special alignment of almost all the outer planets at 4 degrees, except for Saturn. So that is going to be like immense. That is going to be very, very great. So thank you guys all so much, and thank you for all the love in the chat. I really love each and every one of you, and I will see you back soon. Bye bye, guys.